right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Alex Jones is back, baby. Alex Jones is back. Thank you to Tucker Carlson for bringing our boy on. And oh my goodness, they get into some good stuff. But right off the bat, we got to look at how Ozempic and sobriety is doing Alex Jones some work. As always, guys, if you're getting out of the video, please do let me know.
Okay, so I want to impose my theory on you, and you tell me what you think. So for the past 15 years, I've been watching the feds, the FBI, the DOJ try to destroy you. And I've watched as no group of gatekeepers or whistleblower protectors or journalistic, ethics guardians have defended you on First Amendment grounds, which is pretty shocking. But the question has always been, why are the feds so intent on taking you out? And here's my theory. So the summer of 2001, you go on TV, time-stamped, and say, someone's going to fly planes to the World Trade Centers. They're going to blame Osama bin Laden, call the Bush White House, warn them. You basically called 9/11 in detail. You're the only one who did. And we can prove that. It's not a guess. We have the tape. I've played the tape. 9/11 happens in September. There's a 9/11 commission immediately impaneled. They go and interview a bunch of people in the U.S. government and outside and ask, were there signs this was happening? They don't interview you. You're the one guy who predicted it in public. You're the only guy who predicted it in public. And no one calls you to ask, how the hell did you know that? Which is the obvious question. Then they set about trying to destroy you. Rather than hailing you as a prophet or at least asking the question, how the hell did Alex Jones know in detail this was coming? How did you know? They never even ask you. And then they mobilized DOJ and FBI against you. And I think there's a connection between those two facts.
I think no. Shout out to Jaden. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. Also got our boy King Nirvana. Welcome. Always a pleasure to see you guys. How are we doing today? And is he not looking good? Is Alex Jones not looking good? Look at those, man. All right. It was one measure too early.
Well, there's certainly...
Am I right or am I right?
Is I'd already been researching false flag attacks, not just by our government,
Tucker's music,
but other governments throughout history. The Gulf of Tonkin to get us into Vietnam in '64, that was later declassified to have been staged, and of course the USS Liberty between Israel and the Lyndon Baines Johnson administration wanted to get us into full war with Egypt, but the
Jane asks how I'm doing. I am doing fantastic. Thank you so very, very much for asking. Hope you guys are doing well as well.
Ship survived, became the most decorated ship in U.S. history because of the valiance of the crew. And Operation Ajax, where the CIA and Kermit Roosevelt in '53 overthrew Mohammed Mossadegh, who was a reformist and really pro-West, but he wouldn't give them all the oil. And they used radical Islamists to overthrow him and then put the Shah in and then overthrew the Shah over and over again. There's just hundreds and hundreds of historical real case examples of that being done by our government and other governments. And I saw a lot of pre-programming in the news. Osama bin Laden's going to get us. When he gets us, we need to give up all of our rights and we'll be a new America and we've got to set up this police state. So I saw a lot of pre-programming.
But you called the specifics.
We got our boy Morty in the building, the co-host extraordinaire. Of course, guys, every donation comes with a treat. Look at his pretty cute little face, his little old man face. Every donation comes with a treat for Morty. Guys, we do also have the swole goal pinned at the top of the chat. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to do something a little bit differently so that hopefully we can hit that goal a little more often without being too heavy on your guys' pockets. So keep a look out for that.
You call the specifics of 9/11. I just can't get past that. And I've asked you in public and private, how did you do that? I've never gotten really a straight answer. I doubt I will now. But the fact remains, the incontrovertible fact, the provable fact that you called it, and then they began a campaign against you. And it's not because you're a racist. You've never been a racist or an anti-Semite or a crazy person, actually. You've never spewed hate. But you have, for 30 years, said the foundations of our system are actually kind of fake and rotten. But it was 9/11. That's when they really decided this guy has to be stopped and just basically eliminated the First Amendment to stop you.
Well, just to be clear.
Yep. Shout out to Indie Film over on Rumble. Welcome to the party. Are you not entertained with Alex Jones? We definitely are. Welcome to the party. Guys, really quick, if you have not already, please do hit that like button. It helps out so very, very much.
Clear. It's not that I'm dodging how I knew it. That was 24 years ago, and I I remember what I was covering and what I was doing at the time. And everybody's seen the July 25th, where I went into detail, but actually my crew using ChatGPT scanning through all my old shows, found shows in April and even before that in March, where I get more specific. And I said the CIA is going to fly planes into the World Trade Centers and blame it on bin Laden.
So I just think that's the most amazing fact I've ever heard in my entire life, that you called that. And again, we can prove it because it's on tape with timestamps.
Yep. And then nobody even cared. So clearly, there is bigger plans afoot. Clearly, there is not this curiosity as to what happened as they asked.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah, okay, Alex Jones.
King said, Jones seemed chilled out. Well, he hasn't been drinking, and the show just got started. So we're going to get into it. But yeah, he's chilling. He's chilling.
This crazy hater. Okay, whatever. I don't think that's true. But you called 9/11, and no investigator ever called you to ask you how you called that? How you knew that? Not one. No one from DOJ. Philip Zelikow of the 9/11 Commission never called you.
No.
Why?
And, well, I mean, obviously, because certain segments of our intelligence agencies with other foreign intelligence agencies were tracking the supposed hijackers. They were being trained at U.S. military bases. They were being given government money from our government and other governments. They were being protected. Then 2 of their magic passports, all that rubble and hundreds of millions of pieces of paper were found the next day to then connect them to it. It was all laid out. Then the bin Laden family was flown out of the country in the days after, and that was basically shut down in the news, and that was covered some locally here in Florida. So I knew that bin Laden had been CIA going back to really the Mujahideen being set up by Zbigniew Brzezinski and Jimmy Carter, and then Reagan took that over. And then they kind of build that as blowback. But even recently, you've seen the U.S. aid information and other documents come out. And the Institute for...
And I'm, as much as Tim Pool had a really bad take this week, I am with his take that we should not be calling it U.S. aid, because that confuses low information people that it's foreign aid. It's USAID, the organization.
Piece where they're directly paying massive amounts of money to Taliban, to Al-Qaeda, to ISIS, even in the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
And they use them as these proxy armies. So that was well known in the research circles that bin Laden was basically a multinational cutout used by Western intelligence agencies to destabilize areas, but also be a boogeyman. Then you see CNN in a mountain cave magically being able to find him, but the U.S. can't kill him and nobody else can. And I knew that CNN is literally the CIA broadcasting system.
He just was hiding in a hole and nobody knew where he was.
For sure.
Total Mockingbird, thoroughbred. And there were hundreds and hundreds of points that went in, but okay, bin Laden's work for the CIA. And you got CNN interviewing him and they're all scaring us, saying he's about to attack us. And then I remembered how Ahmad Salam, who was an Egyptian intelligence agency operative working for the FBI and CIA, was hired to build a bomb in the early 90s to blow up the World Trade Center. But then when they said build a real bomb, he started recording them because he started figuring out it was a setup. And then he had that press conference where he played it. And I interviewed him a few times where the FBI said, no, just go ahead and let it go forward. And so you start adding all that together. They'd already tried to hit the World Trade Center before. The World Trade Center had a lot of issues in it. With that.
I wonder if younger people, like if now that we're in an age where there's people who either were not alive for 9/11 or if they were, they don't remember it. I wonder if people, how familiar those aged people are with the fact that the World Trade Center was attacked and was 93, was it? I wonder if that's even common knowledge anymore.
Asbestos and also some of the structural issues. So they're already wanting to have a plan to get rid of it. And then you have the CIA and FBI in the Solomon Brothers building. Building 7, the 47-story skyscraper, you have that right next door. So I looked at all of it and I thought, where would the new Pearl Harbor be? And the year before in the Project for American Century, headed up by Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney wrote in there that we need a new Pearl Harbor event to launch the Pax Americana, but it wasn't an American empire of freedom and liberty and justice like Trump's trying to, launch. It was a globalist empire of military enforcement and tyranny. And so there was a lot of other data points that went into it. Cheney also writes in that same document, we need to look at race-specific bioweapons to have control and bring in our power. And that was actually picked up in the newspapers.
Okay, so these are not minor issues. These are like the biggest things happening in the world. The most important things happening in the world. And the end of one system, ushering in of a new system. Millions in the end died because of all of this. Millions. And you're on like cable access in Texas figuring this out. Like, where's everybody else? I don't understand.
Clearly not trying to find out these answers.
Like, I worked at CNN at the time. I don't know. We had as you said, Peter Bergen went and interviewed bin Laden. I'm not attacking Peter Bergen, but like, how come you were the only one who figured this out?
Yeah, by that time, I started out in 94 as a guest on Access TV and then my own show by 95, but I was on local talk radio. I just started getting, I've been syndicated a few years then, but I mean, you're right. I was on Access TV as well. And that's where
but you were like way out on the fringe.
Right. Point being that the government has all these resources and some local Access TV guy is putting it all together. Like, that doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem reasonable that Alex Jones is the only person in the entire world who knew what was going on besides the hijackers and Osama bin Laden. Doesn't seem likely.
And all the people at the very center of our business, journalism, like they didn't see or didn't talk publicly about any of this. Like none of this.
Well, I saw Gary Hart on with another guest.
Gary Hart, the former presidential candidate, senator from Colorado.
I think it was the Hart-Rubin Commission.
Yeah.
I saw him in Congress with testimony earlier that year, and also saw him on, I believe it was CNN or maybe it was Chris Matthews, MSNBC. But the clip's famous, and they say the world's about to change. There's about to be big things happening. Big attacks.
When was this?
It was in early July.
It was before 9/11.
Yes, and they were very specific. Somebody should find that clip, can crowdsource that, and that was the final catalyst because they were basically telling the establishment, very thinly veiled, what was about to go on. So I sat back, I looked at it, and I thought years later, how did I come up with that? So I don't just say a bunch of stuff, then most of it doesn't come true. I'm very specific on predictions, and almost all of them have come true. I thought that it was the spinoff of the X-Files, and I wasn't even an X-Files fan, rarely watched it, called The Lone Gunman, that it turns out had come out in the spring of 2001 that I didn't even learn about because there wasn't, Facebook and Twitter and X back then. So if you didn't watch those entertainment shows, you didn't know about it. And then
he's talking literally about an episode of the X-Files TV show.
6 months or so after 9/11, listeners start saying, have you seen this? And I had listeners send me VHS recordings off Fox TV of this episode where a criminal group in the U.S. government hijacks a jumbo jet in New York to fly it in the World Trade Center to blame it on a Central Asian terrorist so that they have a pretext to take over domestically with the police state and launch wars in the Middle East.
Wait, this was on the X-Files?
Yes, this was on the X-Files. And so later I thought maybe I got it from that. But then we found tapes even earlier, a month before that came out, where I had put it together on the radio. But here's what's crazy.
And that's the type of skepticism that you need to be an Alex Jones. Whether you want to be exactly like Alex Jones or you just want to have the knowledge and breadth of familiarity with these things. To notice what he said. He's talking about where did I get this from? This can't be something that I just thought of. It must be something where I'm getting it from somewhere else. I must be wrong. And only when you exhaust all of those options, no, I'm not wrong, then you can come out loudly and proudly like Alex Jones and say, look, this is what's going to happen, or this is what's going on, or whatever the case may be, because you've tried to prove yourself wrong. That's where skepticism really comes in handy.
Then I got reached out by some of the hosts of the X-Files saying, hey, Chris Carter told us that the CIA came to him with the plot of this and asked him some of the scripts that they would ask him as a favor to put this in as a TV program. And then later I corresponded with Chris Carter via email. He talked about this in the news, like in entertainment publications.
I remember probably around 2010, maybe a little bit, whatever, right around 2010, because we were talking about the movie 2012. If you're not familiar, it's basically just a doomsday climate change movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, the world's going to end. Climate change happens super fast, and he's got to deal with it. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was, making this observation. There's a lot of these types of world-ending movies that have been coming out, and not like it's a new concept, but around that time, there was a lot of it. And he was trying to suggest, like, maybe this is a way for them to kind of propagandize us, to be familiar with this, to think that, somebody's got this under control, and that whenever something like this does happen, we already have a plan for this. And everybody, because they've watched the movies, has some vague idea of what it's supposed to look like. And it's supposed to look like them, whoever them is, having all of the power and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, I was like, I don't know, man. That's a little out there. But like with so many other things, that which seemed crazy seems pretty realistic these days. Shout out to Dietrich. Welcome to the party. So I just got off work taking care of crazies. I can handle some more crazy babble from the Prophet Jones. How is everyone doing? Not too bad. Welcome. And I don't know, we're talking about crazy, but when Alex Jones is right, Alex Jones is right. There you go. Correct. The day after tomorrow, not 2012. But point being, both of those movies came out around the same time, and so it was one of them. Yeah, 2012 is John Cusack. But you know, and when did Day After Tomorrow come out? Now that I think about it, it seems like 2001, 2004. Okay, so it was somewhere between, and so 2012 movie came out in 2009. So yeah, right around that time. So not quite 2010 yet. But yeah, that is exact. And I was like, that seems kind of crazy, dude. Here we are. A few years later, Contagion came out, and that was exactly the plot of that plot was exactly what they tried to do with COVID. I mean, when the information's there, you got to be skeptical, but you also got to notice the patterns when they are there.
About Alex Jones is a really good guy. And when they rebooted in 2016 again, he talked about the talk show host characters based on me. So I've talked to him, some of his crew, but he said, no, I don't know why the CIA, you used to interview him, came to me and said, here's the script for this show. So it wasn't just Alex Jones saying that a government agency was going to hijack a jet and fly the World Trade Center. The X-Files spinoff, The Lone Gunman, one of its main episodes was about that specific story.
This is just crazy. So I often get, people I know saying,
and they remote control and hijack the jet, the good guys, and keep them from crashing the World Trade Center. So why would the CIA come to Chris Carter and say, we want you to write this, and then it's released months and months before 9/11? So I'm not the only one. It was in the collective unconsciousness. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, I said 2 weeks before they shot Trump in Butler, I went on air and I said they are going to try to shoot him at a rally. I mean, that's obvious to see how desperate they were on the law.
I was going to say that thinking that somebody was going to make an attempt on Trump was kind of what that wasn't so much of a reach that, oh my God, you're right about that. But point being, if you pay attention to these things, then you can see what's going on. They do a lot to try to mix up what is actually happening. But if you pay attention, you stay skeptical and you stay informed, you can be the next Alex Jones.
I said they are going to try to shoot him at a rally. I mean, that's obvious to see how desperate they were. How the lawfare didn't work. I mean, a lot of this is just studying how they operate. But I mean, so much of it now.
Studying how they operate. Shout out to Tag. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. Yeah, guys, please, can we get those likes up? What are we doing? We got 9 people here and only 3 likes. Are my numbers off? I know you wouldn't do me like that. Welcome to the party, Tech. Very good to see you, sir.
Desperate they were. How the lawfare didn't work. I mean, a lot of this is just studying how they operate. But I mean, so much of it now is John Podesta in August 2020, the New York Times wrote about it, had a big war game with the top Democrats. And they said, if Trump wins, if they weren't able to steal it, in my view, then we're going to have civil war conditions. We're going to have blue states secede, blue cities, and we're going to use social issues to foment a rebellion that we're going to basically frame as racial, George Floyd on steroids, 10.0, and then we're going to drive Trump from office. Well, they were able to steal it, in my view. The evidence I think is overwhelming. So they didn't use that plan. Well, they started talking about that plan again.
I was going to be like, if you're just joining us, Alex is talking about this, that. But you know how Alex Jones is. He is all over the place. We started this on how he knew that 9/11 was going to happen way before. And I guess now we're on to this.
We're able to steal it, in my view. The evidence I think is overwhelming. So they didn't use that plan. Well, they started talking about that plan again in the months before this last election last year. So much of what I'm able to predict isn't really prediction. They admit it. I mean, the UN said for 20 years, we're going to use Disease X to bring in a global system, a global central bank digital currency, a global social credit score, a global vaccine ID that will be used as the global internet ID.
Global. The more global, the less individual. Shout out to Amanda Price. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. We also got Ty Cobb in the building. So enjoy the spectacle of Alex. Don't we all? Welcome. Very good to see you, ladies. King says Jones looks like Triple H. I am not a wrestling fan, but I do have a vague memory of what he looks like, and it's kind of like that. And yeah, I mean, Ozempic is a hell of a drug, I guess. A hell of a drug. Indeed, we are. Welcome.
Currency, a global social credit score, a global vaccine ID that'll be used as the global internet ID, global taxation ID. That's official. Bill Gates, the UN, all these big bodies preparing how they'd roll this out. You have the Rockefeller Foundation with Operation Lockstep 2010, 2011, describing locking down the sports stadiums, locking your houses 6 feet apart, wearing masks for fear. I mean, and then George W. had that in the BioShield program that passed in 2005, where they said.
So again, we're talking about all this masking and distancing stuff pre-2005. I don't know if you guys remember, but COVID was 2020. 2021 politically, but really 2020. He's bald now. Oh well, we're not. I'm not into wrestling, so I don't really have much of a connection to him. But hey, shout out to the both of them.
Sent out kits, millions of them, everybody to the Red Cross with the 6 feet apart, with the mask, with all the stuff. But they didn't launch the bio attack scare that they had, I think, locked and loaded. Then they waited till 2020.
So basically, you're just taking them at their word. You're just you're doing what I don't do enough, which is listen to people I disagree with and sincerely try to assess what they're saying.
And what are we doing here, guys? That's the entire purpose of not just this channel, but the Discord server as well. It's about just being able to listen to people that you disagree with and say stupid things and still be able to have a real conversation with them. Then you can be the next Alex Jones.
Now, Fauci just said last week, a much worse, way higher morbidity. It's respiratory. It's coming.
Okay, my Fauci is way better. My Fauci is way better. There's something worse coming. A higher morbidity, it's respiratory, and it's coming. Okay, Senator Paul?
You got Hotez. Oh, don't worry. Trump's going to have a big problem. It's going to come crashing in on him. We'll see how he tries to reboot the economy.
Don't worry. Don't worry. The economy will crash.
What?
Sounds like a globalist.
And then you learn Fauci and all of them are involved with Obama and Chapel Hill and North Carolina creating COVID-19. It was a big scandal, 2015, gain of function SARS. And then they move it to...
It's not gain of function. You don't know what you're talking about, Senator Paul. Like that, apparently, Alex quit drinking and hit up ways2well.com to get back in shape. So I was assuming it's Ozempic. If that's not Ozempic, well, hey, dilly to that. If he's... Well, actually, I don't know exactly what Ways2Well is. So certainly not an endorsement. But yeah, I just assumed it was Ozempic. But if he's doing the damn thing, well, good for him. Good for him.
COVID-19, it was a big scandal, 2015, gain of function SARS. And then they move it to Wuhan to plausible deniability so they can kind of blame the Chinese if they want. I'm not saying the Chinese are good. The Communist Chinese are terrible. It was kind of a joint project. And then they roll it out and they've got their so-called shot that's mRNA. I mean, this stuff is all very well planned. And so when you see him up there lying going, no, Senator Paul, it is you that is wrong. No gain of function. Then it's in all.
It's not gain of function, Senator Paul. We changed the definition so that I could get away with saying this right now. It was gain of function, but it's no longer gain of function. We're just taking the regular function and adding to it, but we call it directed evolution.
Those emails, this is gain of function, and he has public symposiums in defense of gain of function. And I mean, he's Mr. Gain of Function. If he was a superhero, he would just have gain of function on his chest and the back of his cape. And he's like, I don't know anything about that. And so, I mean, these guys just treat us like children. And so they kept saying, we're going to use a virus. We're going to use a scare to bring in our global government. I mean,
Fauci's mine. I got Fauci.
I remember Lou Dobbs and Judicial Watch 2006 sued to get North American Union documents. And in it, they're meeting up in Banff, Canada. And they're like, we're going to use collapsing migration flow from a virus to flood the West and use that crisis to bring in a new Marshall Plan. We're going to use a disease X to, finally get the world to accept this global government. So they're just scheming constantly. They have Event 201.
But in public.
In public.
In public, in plain sight. Well, because they do super deep blood testing to see every aspect of what you could be deficient in and also what you individually need as far as nutrition. Well, shout out to them. If this is the results, I mean, awesome. Like I said, I thought it was Ozempic. Your great grandma sounds like Fauci. Ty, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I put the TV clicker over there, and now it's not over there. Did you move it?
They have the SPARS war game 2025, 2028 that came out a few years before 2020 in the viral release that is actually set in 2020 to 2024. And it rolls out how they're all going to do it. The tweets that are in there are almost word for word. They just changed the name SPARS to COVID-19. So,
shout out to Dylan Soup. Welcome to the party. We should be getting close to when you can change that name back, so you're not blocking my goddamn captions here, right? Should be getting close. Either way, welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir.
So it's a blueprint, and then they get caught. Oh, it's not a viral attack plan. Oh, it's just a war game. But the war game matches the exact rollout of the attack, so they're all in script.
So in a normal world that rewarded, excellence and prescience, you'd be a billionaire because of your predictive powers. I mean, huge companies, governments hire people who can piece together fragments of evidence to create an accurate picture of the future. That's a huge business. I know a lot of people in that business. George Friedman, guys like that, really, really smart people. But you've got the best track record of all. And I think it's so telling that rather than reward you for this, or call you up and be like, Alex Jones, you're like, what do you think's coming next? They're like, no, we must eliminate our own First Amendment to destroy your life, which is what they've done.
Pretty much. All right, let's try something, guys, really quick. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We are in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our disciple chat for members only, our word of the day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join.
Hello, come and join.
There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. All right. Go check it out, guys. It is a good time.
Eliminate our own First Amendment to destroy your life, which is what they've done. That seems like a pretty clear indicator of their guilt to me.
Well, what they don't want is compartmentalize good people in industry and government, not just here around the world, to listen to what I'm saying, go check it out for themselves, find out everything I just said is on record. Anybody can just type anything I said, and it's from their own documents. And then people will basically put the glasses on like they live and see it for themselves. I'm not telling them what to see, like the corporate media does, brainwashing people and selling them a lie that two men can have a baby and there's no extra Y chromosomes and communism's great. And,
Absolutely, I do. I want all of you in the Discord. That is why I'm here right now. Of course, it's fun to talk about Alex Jones and see what they're up to and all of that. But what I really want is to build a community of our own. So please, definitely come and join.
Open borders are wonderful. No, I mean, I'm simply saying, see this for yourself. I liken it to those hidden image.
Shout out to Indie Film in the promo.
Paintings. And when you first can't see the hidden image, you're like, I can't see. Once you do see it, you can't unsee it. So I'm only trying to get people to go look at what I'm pointing out and find out. I liken this whole thing to like you have the adult table with the CFR and the Club of Rome, the WF and the UN and the think tanks and the RAND Corporation. And they're at the adult table at Thanksgiving. And the general public and even a lot of the politicians are compartmentalized and naive. We're over at the kids table. And we'd actually listen to what the adult table, because that's their arrogance. They admit 99% of this in their own battle plans.
And that's still the craziest part. That it's like he doesn't get, Alex Jones doesn't have some secret access to all of this stuff. He just knows where to look. So that's not barely functional. Well, I mean, if you can talk here, you can talk there. This, what you're doing right now, that's Discord, except it's not directly relevant to a particular video. You can talk about whatever you like. We don't have any kind of censors or anything. And like I said, if you join as a member, then you can be part of the after party as well.
As if we are too lazy or stupid to ever go look at it. And that's part of a confidence game they have with their own people, their own corporate intelligence operatives, their own government intelligence operatives, their own networks, where they just basically admit all this stuff out in the open. I mean, it's like, Mudd from the CIA on CNN saying, Foggy Bottom's going to kill this guy. We're going to kill Trump. And then Trump had called me, this is back in his first administration. I said, listen, you need to watch out. They've got Phil Mudd and all these other guys on CNN, MSNBC saying they're going to kill you. And he goes, just a moment. He goes, I'm going to have the Secret Service call you. In about an hour, they call me. They go, what's going on, Alex? Trump told us to call you. And I said, you don't know about this. So he goes, here's our email. And I sent the Secret Service this, as if the Secret Service doesn't know. They were all over TV saying we're going to kill Trump. So
it's possible.
I was just going to say that. He took the words right out of my mouth, that it really is possible. We've seen, especially from January 13th in Butler, PA, that, hey, for the most part, most Secret Service agents are probably top notch. But somewhere among the ranks, it is not working the way it is supposed to work. Well, you can do both, but like I said, it is an absolutely free speech platform. And what that means is that there is not one word, there's not one phrase by uttering it, you will be banned. Now, if you're annoying people and if you're spamming, then I might kick you out for that stuff. But absolutely free speech. You could say whatever you want. We've got liberals, we've got transes, we've got atheists, we've got all kinds of people, and you can piss them all off. But you could be better off at just having actual interesting conversations. But up to you guys. Again, it is absolutely free to join.
Secret Service doesn't know. They were all over TV saying we're going to kill Trump. So
it's possible they caught that. Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Tijuana Border Jumper. Said, I see a doggy. Yes, this is my co-host Morty. And every single donation comes with a treat. And since you got a doggy there too, I gave him an extra one. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. We are hanging out with Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson.
All over TV saying we're going to kill Trump. So
it's possible they caught that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Trump didn't catch it. So I mean, now they're everywhere. You've got this new Rutgers study out where 55% of Democrats, liberals are asking, do you support Trump being killed? They're like, yes, we want him dead. He should be assassinated. This is like this week.
Yikes. Shout out to Abro with the $5. Thank you so very, very much. That gets us started on our swoggle, guys. Again, check the top of the chat right above that pinned chat. You are getting us started. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very much.
Do you support Trump being killed? They're like, yes, we want him dead. He should be assassinated. This is like this week. And came out over the weekend. And they asked him, so do you see yourself as part of a assassination culture? And they said, yes. Jesus. So, but then if you say, oh, the Democrats are fomenting violence, I mean, The View says all the time, he's killing people. Elon's killing people. They don't say how. They're stealing your Social Security. They're killing old ladies. And so we need to be ready to fight and die to take this guy out. Those are quotes. And
quotes about the sitting American president. But yeah, we're the violent ones. Hey, Tijuana Border Jumper with another $5. Thank you, John and Argo. You got a new friend. Say thank you to Argo and John. Thank you so very, very much to the both of you. And now that makes you guys co-sponsors of the stream with Arrow. Very, very, very much appreciated. And that's 2 out of 10, guys. That's 2 out of 10. $2 or more will count. Thank you so much.
We need to be ready to fight and die to take this guy out. Those are quotes. And then they just sit back and go, oh, no. We're not calling for violence with Crockett and all of them. But they're not going to do it. They want lone nuts to do it because their other wind-up operatives like Crooks and the other guy here in Florida failed. But, I mean, they are crazy. And if the establishment or what's left of it's falling apart, thinks killing Trump is going to help them, they're delusional, because if you look at all the scenarios that come out of that, it's much worse for them.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Before I ask you,
well, whether you're Arrow, whether you're Ty, either way, we appreciate the love.
What you think the signs are pointing to now? Like, what are your predictions for the next 5 years? And then I ask you how your battles with the U.S. government are going in its attempts to silence you. How do you, like, if you have this ability, which you do, I'm not sucking up, it's just, again, it's provable, to put together a picture, an extraordinarily accurate picture of what the future holds. Like, what does that do to you? How do you sleep and how do you live? And like, why haven't you totally destroyed yourself?
Like powder or like your shiny powder?
Like, that's not, those are kind of not thoughts that most people, including me, are burdened with and don't really want to be burdened with. But like, how do you turn off the visions of the future in your head?
Well, I mean, I appreciate.
maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. If we're talking about the other one, then yeah, that he would definitely need. But we like healthy Alex. We like healthy Alex. Jumper, I'm gonna call you Jumper, said, I've been listening to Alex for years. I haven't yet to hear him give bad information. Well, I mean, to be fair, we gotta call out Sandy Hook, but that's one. That's one. Everybody gets one, right? That is it. That is, oh, lucky you. Lucky you. I'm already rolled up. As soon as I'm done with you guys, that is gonna be me.
Appreciate you saying nice things about me, and obviously God gives us all different gifts, and I do have some gifts, but I think a lot more people have these gifts than really realize it.
But you can,
wait, what gift? Oh, does he just, what gifts is he talking
well,
about?
including me, are burdened with and don't really want to be burdened with. But like, how do you turn off the visions of the future in your head?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying nice things about me, and obviously God gives us all different gifts, and I do have some gifts, but I think a lot more people have these gifts than really.
Oh, just being able to not, and this is something that I haven't talked about it in a while, but I used to talk about it a lot when determining who you want to listen to in terms of pundits, people online, politicians, whoever it is, people who can predict the future. It's not because they have a crystal ball. It's because they're paying attention. And as Jumper just said, for years and years and years and years, he got the one, but everything else, everybody thought he was crazy. They're turning the frogs gay. And technically, they were transing the frogs, but close enough. And so when you can see that somebody is able to predict the future, they're not psychic. It's that they are paying attention to the right things. They are interpreting those things properly, and they are able to, see the patterns. Definitely a good thing to look out for. Shout out to Petrie. Welcome to the party. So can we actually say he was wrong, though? To be honest with you, I don't know enough about the entire situation, specifically what he said. I just know that from what, like, even Alex Jones fans seem to be yeah, all right, he got that one wrong. But what do they call them? Crisis actors are not a new thing. We just saw the most recent Trump protest, and they were all being bussed in. So maybe you never know. Welcome to the party, Petrie.
And I realize it.
But you can prove it. That's why I've obviously we're friends, and I like you as a man. But you can prove it in a way that others can't because it's on tape.
To be fair to Alex, I think the light is turned more towards him because Tucker is sweating. That's sweat, no, but he's not shiny. So I think that's the lighting. Maybe that's like, you be shiny, I'm gonna look perfect.
So it's not really a debate. Has Alex Jones had more accurate predictions of the future than any living person in the world that I know of? We can prove that. We don't have to argue about it. I've got the freaking tape. So again, it's not even a compliment. It's just an observation. And I don't know why I seem to be the only person who's obsessed with this. Like, how did this guy predict this? No, everyone's like, oh, he's crazy. Okay, maybe he's crazy, but he predicted this. So my question is, like, what does that do to you?
I mean, it is stressful, the responsibility of constantly researching and looking at all, culture, pop culture. That's where a lot of the real brainwashing is. That's where a lot of the predictive programming and manipulation goes on.
Yes.
But also in so-called news. But I mean, I did get to where I drank way too much, ate too much, got really unhealthy because I could, go home at night and have some drinks and, and eat half a key lime pie and just kind of dial out and forget about reality. But things have.
Yeah, Peter's saying what we will have to say about 9/11. I know 20 years ago, I wouldn't have had the same opinion of what had happened as I do today. Their government knew and didn't say anything. They could have stopped it. They absolutely could have stopped it, and they absolutely knew. Another thing that I was just going to throw in there, again, just to, not to both sides things, but just to give as much of a picture as I feel relevant. There is definitely an aspect of there's terror threats every day, all the live long day. Yes, absolutely. There was enough reason to believe this one, as we can now see. But I will, if we are to be charitable, it does make sense that there could potentially be some type of terror attack where there is warning. And we can't stop it, we don't stop it because we, improperly didn't take it seriously or stuff like that. I'm not saying that's what I think happened with 9/11. I'm just saying. King said, this little Alex Jones of mine, I'm gonna let him shine. So like Richard Grannon and those across the pond, they have a sense of decorum and a droll sense of humor. Not me. Let's be loud. Got that. Jumper said, could have stopped it or shouldn't have planned it. I mean, both. But I hear ya. Shout out to Box in the building. Welcome. We also got our boy Liberty Plus TV. Welcome. Said everybody needs to check out the Corbett report. What is that? I said, that was so tender, King. I haven't let your light shine down. There you go. Some great videos about 9/11, and he's not a quack. Are you trying to say that Alex Jones is a quack?
How dare you?
Of course. There's always one. It's two options, guys. It's a yes or no question. I don't get how you guys get these so badly. How it's so wrong all the time. Oh my goodness. Well, shout out to our boy TV Viewerski. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, sir. Said, hail Morty with a $10 PayPal. My goodness. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. We're getting down to the crumbs here. I got a new bag. Don't worry. I got a new bag. That goes into the cost. Good job. There we go. Thank you. And sorry, but we've got a new sponsor of the stream. Very, very, very much appreciated, sir. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you.
A key lime pie and just kind of dial out and forget about reality. But things have gotten so intense and so dangerous that for about the last 9 months, I haven't drank and I've been exercising every day and I've lost 63 pounds and I feel great. And I've just embraced the responsibility. Plus,
dilly to that. I genuinely thought it was Ozempic. It looks like how Ozempic makes people look. And I mean, he was a bigger dude, so I'd expected this type of weight loss over that period of time. Like, you can even see his jawline now. There was no jawline before. There was this and the neck. He does look good. He's looking good. Yep. Tyson Alex was the first to point out the turn in the frog's gay. Yep. Alex said, trust him for like news and stuff. I'd let him watch the kids while I ran for a beer, though. Fair enough. I'll take that. I will take it. Basically saying he's not a bad dude. He's just crazy.
Every day and I've lost 63 pounds and I feel great. And I've just embraced the responsibility. Plus, we're alive right now, really in the Great Awakening, where more and more people are piecing things together and deciding to really get informed and engaged. And so I've always said I want to become obsolete, where people really start understanding how the world really works to such an extent that there's so many other journalists and researchers and pundits and just private citizens and people in business and academia and life and in the ecclesiastical circles that they really realize that.
Did I do that right? I'm not a Zoomer, so I don't know. But he's mewing. Yeah, that jawline. He's saying the Ozempic butt is the giveaway, they said. Have you guys heard of this? I don't know if it's worth a side quest unless I can find a really short video, but apparently it fucks up your booty and makes your butt rock hard, and then you can't wipe properly. So that's why Ozempic butt is not just a thing, but it makes your booty smell because you can't wipe properly. Yep. I can't see his, so I mean, count your blessings. You might. I don't know. Can't win them all. Yeah, very, very much looking good. Testosterone Ozempic would have made him look like Sharon Osbourne. Well, that's kind of what I was saying. I was like, okay, maybe in 6 months he's going to look like Sharon Osbourne if he's on Ozempic. But shout out to that other company. It's really, really good to see, and that's exactly, when you get people around you who are showing you the importance of that. Sometimes the hardest thing is getting yourself going. And so that is exactly what the Swole Stream goal here is. Obviously, it's just a fun little goal for us. But, when you guys put towards my own physical health, it gives me a reason to actually do the thing. It's not like I can't do push-ups on my own, but you guys really inspire me. So thank you.
this globalist system is transhumanist. It is evil. It is a spiritual battle at the end of the day. And people need to really choose a side. And so I think choosing the side and saying, hey, God, I can't do this. I'm weak. I'm imperfect. But through you, I can. And really praying and asking God to lead, God, and direct you and give you discernment. So to really answer your question,
I'll let it go this time. I'll let it go.
I'll have all this data and this research, and so that my feeble human mind can understand really what God tells me. And then it's that final little ingredient of being sure about something, that's what they're intending to do. But we have real agency. Good has more power than evil. They always say the devil's greatest trick was convincing the world that he didn't exist. I think that's the second biggest trick, is that he doesn't exist, and he does. His biggest trick is convincing people that there is no good out there, and that there's not.
That's right.
And that God doesn't exist. So,
but like this is. Do you understand how heartless this is? Do you understand? This is the exact same thing with the trans argument, except they're not giving it to kids yet. We don't know the long-term effects of Ozempic when it's used in that way. And so you're just okay with people just being big pharma, just using people as test gerbils? I mean, I guess that's why you're okay with the vax mandate. But Jesus, I said there are no quick fixes for pounding Domino's pizza for 3 decades. Unfortunately, not. And Box is hating. He's hating. Oh, Box is hating.
But out there, and that there's not.
That's right.
And that God doesn't exist. So, for me,
he doesn't.
So much of it.
I don't think so.
Again, is
unless you can prove it to me.
In the old days, the globalists,
that's the best I could do.
Western propaganda after the end of World War II, and since then, when we won World War II, had pretty much total narrative control. And so anything they were pre-programming and preparing and hyping the people for, they pretty much always got what they wanted. So,
all right, well, there we go. I will take that. Pure bloods. Always a shout out to my pure bloods who stood up to one of the biggest propaganda campaigns of our entire lives.
It was easy to follow those trend lines out and see what the probable main scenarios were. And then things would almost always come true that I predicted because they were still in charge. Now that the globalists are really collapsing and a new international order and system is forming, coming from the grassroots up, politics is downstream from the grassroots. And because Trump is such a chaos bringer to their system, which is good, but with it also comes danger, but it's better than living, on our knees and then ending up having our souls basically taken. It's better to fight down our feet. But in my experience, people that fight on their feet live a lot longer and have better lives than people that try to live on their knees. People who live on their knees actually die on their knees a lot more often than people who die on their feet, in my experience. So,
yup. People die. Well, we'll go back to that. Glomtex, it's actually peptides and individualized nutrition and an exercise regimen that he paid experts for. At least that's what he says. Wouldn't doubt a little testosterone, but it doesn't help unless he lifts. Very, very true. And it also seems like, well, doesn't he, on his show, doesn't he have his own line of like supplements and stuff like that? It doesn't seem like he would be the type of person to be like, to take Ozempic and be like, no, I'm not on Ozempic. I swear. Again, I don't know him personally that well, but I would be surprised if he was saying all this stuff and then actually just taking Ozempic. I don't know why he wouldn't just be like, yeah, of course I'm taking Ozempic. Like, we don't really know what's good, but I'm trying to look sexy or whatever. I don't know. He's doing the adrenochrome. He went to the dark side. He is now the globalist. Hey, and we got another pure blood. There we go. Jumper said I'm a pure blood, and since the clot shot, unless I need rabies treatment, I won't get another injection. There you go. There you go. They can't mandate a shot if you won't wear a mask. It's coming back. Fauci already said it. The morbidity's gonna be up there. It's gonna be respiratory. Now, if that is actually the case, and you do personally want to be inoculated, then please go do what you want to do. Point is, don't just follow the herd. Boxer's clearly putting the work, and good on him. Indeed. Text said Ozempic makes you gaunt and waste away. Alex is Jack now. That I mean, again, I believe it. I'm just saying from here, I can't tell because he's wearing a suit, and so he was already pretty big. So at this point, if he was on Ozempic, then I don't think he would be there yet, is what I was saying. So I said I would so administer stem cells if I weren't a serf for my cervical spine. I do not know what that means. I apologize. Pure bloods
live on their knees.
I
People
agree.
live on their
Yo, yeah, let's hear that one more time.
knees, and also because Trump is such a chaos bringer to their system, which is good, but with it also comes danger. But it's better than living, on our knees and then ending up having our souls basically taken. It's better to fight down our feet. But in my experience, people that fight on their feet live a lot longer and have better lives than people that try to live on their knees. People that live on their knees actually die on their knees a lot more often than people who die on their feet, in my experience. So
well said. Shout out to equality and deference because said liked and shared. Thank you so very, very much, guys. Both of those things are absolutely free and help out the channel so very much. Again, it does not even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link. Just take the link, hit the share, and plaster it everywhere. Just by you doing that helps out the channel. Whether people click on it or not is a whole other thing. Thank you, equality and deference, because vagina. See, I got you there. Buck said, here's a conspiracy theory. Trade wars with China equals diseases upon the world. Spooky thought. I mean, it's not really a conspiracy theory. It just happened. But no, I hear you. It's coming back. It's coming back. Pure blood. Shout out to Bambi. Welcome to the party. Free chat? What's in free chat? In the Discord. Word up. Thank you.
I saw Alex Jones and he looks really
white. Shout out to Guamtag here. Thank you for this.
I saw
Make sure we're at the right spot. Boom. All right, let's check out what we got here.
I saw Alex Jones and he looks really good, doesn't he? Bro, I noticed it like in a month. I just saw and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's really committed. He's going to do a documentary on it.
taking back my health.
But there's fucking theories that it's not even him. There's theories
my
that they
God, I bet
replaced
it's
him
not.
with a different guy.
Look at this. Bro, in 2 weeks, Tom Segura will be playing this guy.
He looks great. But he doesn't look like the same person.
Not at all, dude.
Because he's laid off the booze. He's not eating any bullshit. I don't
What
know.
was he
I don't even know if he's
drinking?
All of it.
a lot, bro.
Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been working out 98 days today. If I get below 240, I have lost 50 pounds. Here we go. Woo!
Wow. Very, very cool. Good for Alex Jones. Shout out to KFT in the building. Welcome to the party. Alex looking jacked. Diet and exercise. And white blood. There you go. And a treat for Morty. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. Welcome to the party. Guys, that's 3 out of 7 more. And I'm on the floor looking just like Alex Jones. Well, not tonight, but soon. Get me jacked as well. Book me up. Thank you so very, very much, sir. And he said, how is that a conspiracy if trade is restricted due to tariffs? They won't be exporting to the U.S. Well, he was saying if they do. No? That's what I understood of it. Equality and Deference said he looks a bit like J. Jonah Jameson now. I can see it. Alex Jones may be crazy, but he is the good kind of crazy. Indeed. I'm sure he's on, and again, the people that he's working with have, fine-tuned that diet and all that stuff. So again, I'm just saying, I originally assumed it was Ozempic because that's what everybody does, but shout out to him because it is not according to what he's saying. If you believe Alex Jones, which I do.
Live on their knees. People live on their knees actually die on their knees a lot more often than people who die on their feet, in my experience. So now is really the global revolution. It's a spiritual revolution. The information, the culture, all of that comes out of that. And so now there's so many possible futures and so many developments because there's been so many good people that actually care and want to stabilize civilization and thrive and have a future and who are not based on conquest mindsets, but are based on Renaissance concepts, the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening, that right now anything is possible because America still has the world reserve currency, still has the biggest, best military, still has the best energy system for raw energy, and still has a spirit that is being rekindled that was the apple of the world's eye and really the flower of the Renaissance.
Yes. If you didn't notice that, then you weren't paying attention.
That we're now rebooting. It's powering back up right now. And that window is closing, but we're acting on it right now. And if we're just not weak and cowards, like Trump has said, and if we don't become panicans but remain Americans, then really anything is possible, because as Elon has said, if America falls, the central pillar in Western civilization, and Western civilization falls, it all falls.
Yes.
And so for me, I don't do this out of courage. I do it out of direct self-preservation for myself, my family, and by extension, everybody else, because we're all interconnected. And people need to understand the true urgency that the globalists said they were going to collapse the world economy and use that for social control, as Larry Fink said.
Well, let's come back to that. But what did he just say?
Myself, my family.
I'm doing this directly out of self-preservation for myself and my family. Another thing that if you were bullshitting, if you were grifting, if you were doing anything else than telling the truth, something you probably wouldn't say. Even though doing things for self-preservation for you and your family is not a bad thing, there is this weird purity culture online. And I don't mean sexually. I mean purely you have to have this idea altruistically, and you're doing it because you don't care about the money, you don't care about the views. All you care about is that this happens. And am I making sense? When people are willing to say that, that's the type of reason why I believe that if he says he's not an Ozempic, then he's probably not an Ozempic. Ty said, I'll go out on my feet, not my knees. Thank you very much. There you go. He said, the last funny movie I saw was Tropic Thunder. I mean, it's definitely not funnier than Tropic Thunder, but I will come back to Ricky Stenicki. Ricky Stenicki. It's I think it was on Amazon, but it is a straight up comedy, like the old school type of comedy. I can't believe I'm saying 2010 style is old school, but that style of movie, slapstick, the funny bits, the one-liners, all that kind of stuff. It was John Cena. So John Cena stars, and he does really, really good. So check that out.
Oh, for me, I don't do this out of courage. I do it out of direct self-preservation for myself, my family, by extension, everybody else, because we're all interconnected. And people need to understand the true urgency that the globalists said they were going to collapse the world economy and use that for social control, as Larry Fink said, to control our behavior. And we're going to build something extremely hellscapish and dystopic in their own admissions. I mean, all the horrible stuff we see is just the leading, edge of it. So to me, there's really even no choice but to fight with everything I've got.
So you said you said two things that really struck me. One, that anything is possible right now. That this could go in an infinite number of directions, some hellish and some blessed. And so I think that feels right to me. Second, you said this is a spiritual revolution. What are the signs that you see of that? What do you mean by that?
So, all right, we're getting into the spiritual, the spiritual revolution here. You guys know I am not a believer in Christianity, despite the reverence I have for what could possibly come from it. I'm trying to be better at not just attacking Christianity, because I don't think it needs to be attacked. But I will give you my my straight opinions.
This is a spiritual revolution. What are the signs that you see of that? What do you mean by that?
Well, if you read the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, it's all there. And then I see it happening. It says that during these big times of change, that you'll see the best out of the good people and the worst out of the bad people. And some people you thought were good are going to really activate and show you their real cards, that they're really your servants of evil, they're really slaves of evil. And then you're going to see some people you thought weren't good that are going to be touched and make the decision to be strong for liberty. That'll be some of our greatest champions.
Yes.
Shout out to Zippy TSM Lee. Welcome to the party. Wanted to say, can I get a "They're turning the frogs gay," brother? Welcome. Very, very good to see ya. Quamsek said, Alex is about to take it to those demons. The demons. Exactly. TV said, if you think about it, the DNC could be a version of a demon. If we're taking it outside of a biblical context, then you're goddamn right they are. Ty said, I really don't feel like having my picture taken right now. What did I miss? I'm sorry. Over my head. Yeah, DNC is already demonic.
Weren't good that are going to be touched and make the decision to be strong for liberty. That'll be some of our greatest champions.
Yes.
and that you're not going to really see people in the middle anymore, that big middle of people passing the buck. God said you were hot or cold, you were lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth. And so we're going into...
Wait, what? We're going to back that up in a second, but shout out to Zippy DSM Lee for the Rumble rant. Thank you, sir. Said religion should be kept simple and in your pants. Nip the nip. I love it. All right, let's pull this down and get Morty his treats. There we go. Thank you so very much, sir. You guys are blessing me. And so, all right, let's talk about the Swole Goal event. So since the Swole Goal only, it doesn't count Rumble rants, it doesn't count gifted memberships, it doesn't count any of those things. I want to count those things. So we have the established one. Again, if you click the at the top of the chat where it says 3 out of 10, it will show you that goal. We can use that as a goal. However, if in any stream we reach $50, then that automatically gets us the goal. That includes gifted memberships, that includes PayPal or Rumble or any of those things. I think it's a good plan. You guys let me know what you think. Thank you again, brother. Let's see what the hell
is champions. Yes. And that you're not going to really see people in the middle anymore, that big middle of people passing the buck. God said you were hot or cold, you were lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth. And so we're going into really the beginning. It's going to get way more intense in my view. I mean, if any prediction, it's that. If people think things are wild now and tumultuous, this is going to be seen as the calm before the storm. And so there's going to be nowhere to be in the middle. People are going to have to choose a side. And those that have chosen evil, chosen the establishment, chosen the satanic world order, are going to get deeper and deeper into their devotion, their hysteria, their violence, trying to prop it up, because deep down they're scared, and they have a form of Stockholm syndrome where they go to the abuser and think if they prostrate themselves before it, somehow they'll be given deliverance.
Okay, that was way too vague of a. I mean, that one's got a. That's so vague. I'm not gonna remember that without the tone of voice. Come on. Gontek said supposedly you should be all in. You should be all in or all out as far as religion, or God doesn't really care. My question is, who interprets the standards from God? And shout out to Gabriel with the right answer. Depends. Welcome to the party, sir. Very good to see ya. World Economic Forum, also very evil. There's a lot of evil. And that's why even as somebody who doesn't believe in Christianity, doesn't believe in a particular God or anything, this idea of, a spiritual revolution or warfare, evil, demonic presences, those all are religious coded language. But I do believe that they refer to something that does exist in reality. That is why I would like us to move away from that religious language so that we could more accurately identify what evil is, what demons are, what are these things. But it definitely exists. Bambi said you have to have faith and believe in your heart, not your mind. That's what matters. I don't follow doctrine though. And yeah, it means that everybody seems to have their own way. But it always comes back to it depends. And we're not talking about the adult diapers. Welcome to the party, guys. If you have not already, please do hit that like button and let's party on.
Where they go to the abuser and think if they
I missed the quality and deference here. Said always amusing when people refer to the Bible as perfect. Or excuse me. Well, always amusing when people refer to the Bible predicting things. When you torture the language enough and pull a Peterson, it can mean anything you want. I'm trying to not go hard. That was her, not me. So I'm going to dilly that. Dilly to that.
Prostrate themselves before it, somehow they'll be given deliverance, when really they just need to repent and ask God to come in to their heart and cleanse them and then rise them up to be a soldier against this evil in this key time. But there'll be no room for anybody in the middle in the time we're in. And
there you go. Quantek hitting the nail on the head. All in or all out. I am all out on religion, but that doesn't mean that there are things that overlap with religion, like values, principles, ideas, that I don't think are bad just because I don't believe in the religion, which is why we should separate those values from the religion so that even if you don't believe in the religion, you can still believe in the values.
I'm talking to so many people that weren't even Christian or weren't even religious or weren't even spiritual who are saying it's good versus evil. And I talked to so many people I know that are professionals and
You definitely can, though, and it is quite an experience.
Spiritual who are saying it's good versus evil. And I talked to so many people I know that are professionals, and Austin's full of a lot of particularly rich people and women, just becoming demon possessed. I mean, literally saying that they're demon possessed, and I'm hearing about it all over the country, all over the world.
What is that? It's so noticeable, and I'm so blessed to be surrounded mostly by women who are just the opposite, who are wonderful, but who are the rock. I mean, they're just the best. However, what you just described is just on display everywhere.
Well, and it's been too. You hear about the soccer coach that just kidnapped the little kid and took him and killed him and threw him in the woods, reportedly, allegedly. Yeah. I mean,
the easy answer is distance from God, distance from religion. But as I just referenced, is whether we like it or not, taking me out of it, taking you out of it, religious belief is going down in this country. There's a small resurgence, but that's a reaction to the woke left. That's not going to last. People don't really believe, and a lot of you guys who are Christians agree with me in the sense that a lot of the people who call themselves Christians, even the churches, are not really in line with what Christianity is supposed to be. And again, lots of quotes there. And I think that all leads us to the same place where we have to, again, divorce the language of what we're talking about from a specific religion so that anybody can understand it. Then, once we understand it, then you put it into the context of whatever you believe in. And so I'm not saying we need to get rid of religion or get rid of anything. It just it's two different lenses, and people too often conflate the two. It's confusing. Buck said, no church has seemed to reach out. The last proselytizers was an old man. That was my bad. What are you talking about? No, I'm saying, but you obviously can read from page 1 and go all the way through. Yeah, there are lots of new fake Christians, and I think we can all agree on that. I think we can all agree there's a lot of new fake Christians, and for just fake religious people as well. You look at Sneeko and Andrew Tate. How dare you? I don't think they're really pious Muslims. It seems like a grift. Bambi said, obviously, is this to me? Religion can help people recognize growing faith. Okay, so I think that was Gabriel, right? Shout out to Matthew King. Welcome. Said, I love my church. First time I went, the pastor looked around and said, most of you here aren't going to heaven. Showing up for the Sunday show doesn't give you a pass. You gotta do the work every day, especially when nobody is watching. And again, that is a perfect type of value, idea, notion that comes from the Bible and is a very good idea. We can leave it there. And you can be free to worship the religion, and I can be free to live that out. Our, again, quote unquote, enemy in this spiritual warfare is the people who are not representing or living out those values, not the people who believe a slightly different thing than you. Those are not the same. So we said Tate is a Muslim. Islam is a fake religion. I mean, there's a lot more consistency in Islam than there is in Christianity, especially in this country. Just saying.
Soccer coach that just kidnapped a little kid and took him and killed him and threw him in the woods, reportedly, allegedly. Yeah. I mean, it's men too, but normally in history, it's men that do the really openly satanic stuff.
Yes, exactly.
And women, 2% of violent crime. Now it's because it's a crisis. And women particularly, but men as well, buy into whatever they see as the power structure. That's a survival mechanism generally.
That's exactly right.
But when the power structure is a death.
And that's exactly why we're seeing that the new fake Christians. Quality difference said, how can you tell when a woman is demon possessed? When they act like autonomous females? Yeah, that works. It said, equality said, fake religion is redundant. I'm trying to be nice. That's not me. That's not me. I'm trying to be nice, guys. I'm trying to be nice, but totally agree.
I'll buy into whatever they see as the power structure. That's a survival mechanism generally.
That's exactly right.
But when the power structure is a death cult, by increment, they get deeper and deeper. I mean, you look at these leftists, And them in the hundreds of photos, they took their shot and they had their abortion, or they want to kill Trump. And you look at them,
or they're worshiping death in some way.
Absolutely, you could see it. They all look super unhealthy. They look totally.
I mean, Christianity is also a death cult. It celebrates human sacrifice, and then talks about the benefits of what happens after you die. So not as deathy as Islam, but they're all death cults.
Insane in the eyes. They look like Charlie Manson. And
you're not going to get an argument from me that Islam is bullshit. Certainly not.
Unhealthy. They look totally insane in the eyes. They look like Charlie Manson. And so it's I'm seeing more and more love in people's eyes,
yes.
More and more spiritual connection to God, more and more of that quiet place of just serenity in people. And then I'm seeing more and more of the satanic energy. So it's really a parting of the sea here.
Yes. So to just linger on the first observation that you're seeing more of the serenity, the peace from God in people, that is including people in your orbit, people
wherever it's from, but yes. And so Ty is saying, I'm not religious, but I do know this is spiritual warfare.
Bingo.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I believe that Jesus was a real person, but that doesn't really mean much.
more of the serenity, the peace from God in people, that is including people in your orbit, people you know personally.
Yes. But it's very paradoxical. I'm seeing just godliness, peace, understanding. And then I'm seeing confusion and hysteria. And I mean, what we're seeing is evil writhing around, trying to take us with it. It gets senses that humanity's waking up, and that all of its carefully laid plans to keep us in a trance, keep us asleep is burning away.
Is there any way to predict?
Talk about getting lost in the sauce.
Well, I'll just say my view, which is I've been really shocked by people on both sides. There are people who seem totally seized by hysteria.
Did he just say there was 5 people on both sides? Jokes.
By people on both sides. There are people who seem totally seized by hysteria and rage and hate and the desire to commit violence. I never expected they would be that. And then there are other people who I'm equally shocked to see filled with the kind of serenity you're describing, who are filled with love and understanding.
Oh,
and
I thought he was going to say, I thought he was going to say something about who don't have this religious thing. Of course he wasn't, but the notion that there's a lot of people who you will see that, even here where we're not, maybe you're not an atheist like myself, but you don't have a particular, set ideology. Like you have beliefs and you know what you feel your relationship with God is and stuff like that. So I thought he was going to, lean towards that, but I guess not. And I'm even seeing a lot of the people I know who made a lot of mistakes when they were younger, getting more spiritually healthy. Not religious, but really awake. Exactly. And that is, I mean, obviously the word woke has been ruined, but that is what we really need to focus on. People waking up to reality. People waking up to different modes of thinking. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, bro? You just hopped up here. Oh, man. See what happens when he doesn't have food? No, I'm just kidding. You guys have been awesome. Ty said, my peace of mind is hard won. Wouldn't trade it for Solomon's gold. I said, shit. Me too. Well said. Gromtex was saying, not religious, but really awake, whether through understanding current corruption or just being ready to move on in life. The good is coming out more as the bad becomes more desperate. I absolutely agree with that. And, something that I've told you has really, really, really stuck with me. And I won't bring up the whole thing, but where you were telling me, I think you're right. Just let it happen. We're starting to see it happen. And not as quickly as maybe I would like, but it is definitely, on the move. Amanda said, I agree. You don't have to be religious to be spiritual. Absolutely. And that is... the other thing is not so much that you can be religious without being spiritual, but you can be spiritual while being actively a non-believer. I think those are kind of the same sentence, but a little bit different. Same, but different. Amy said, because America is equivalent to Weimar, and the degeneration is calculated by a certain group of people, a certain group of people yet people worship them. And that is an issue. So religion is a way to supersede that by giving a mission of this is what you do. This is what's more important than any of that stuff that might feel like it's good in the moment. But that's not the only way to get people out of that. And if I'm convinced it's not the only way. There may not be another way. We may need religion. We may need specifically the religion of Christianity. But I'm not willing to stop trying to get closer to whatever this God is. I'm not willing to stop trying to be more spiritually fulfilled and awake until I know that I can't do anymore. That's just me. Box said, you wake up and realize you were just playing a video game. Rick and Morty did the bit. I forgot the name of the game, though. Well, we're all in a simulation, right? We're all in a simulation. I don't know about spiritual. I'm just here for the duration. Fair enough.
With the kind of serenity you're describing, who are filled with love and understanding. And I couldn't have predicted who those people are in some cases.
Because some of them are atheists?
Do you feel that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always had a lot of berserker energy and
True.
And in the fight, but it was always focused, and I wouldn't say it was demonic, but it was of the flesh, but also had a big connection to God. Now more and more, I'm just have serenity, focus, clarity, and I'm more effective at breaking things down, not acting like a Tasmanian devil. And so in my own life, I'm seeing more and more of that serenity, just really, really intense the last few weeks. And I picked up on that being around you and your crew and folks here in this little hamlet we're in. And then it really does make you feel sorry for people that serve evil. I mean, they torture us and they attack us and they want to bully us. But at the end of the day, you actually realize that's on them. It is so sad that they live like this.
They're being destroyed too. They're being destroyed too. That's like one of the main insights I've had in the past 5 years. I come to things really slowly because I'm not a genius, but I always kind of felt hate toward the destroyers in our...
I'm sorry, I got to run this back.
At the end of the day, you actually realize that's on them. It is so sad that they live like this.
They're being destroyed too.
Okay, yeah. So I think I wasn't sure that's exactly what you're saying, but I think we can all agree that lack of spiritual fulfillment or awakeness is not just destroying society for us who have to live in it, but it's destroying it for the people who seem like they think that they're doing the right thing. They're just living for today. They're being hedonistic, sleeping around, having kids without, all of that stuff. They are also being destroyed. It's just that while we are more about delayed gratification, they are going to be a little bit more about delayed consequences. I don't know, just, not good stuff. Block said, or did I miss this? Guantag said, I'll definitely give you mad props for being even more open to letting it happen. I can see restraint from you right now, and it's honestly a good look. Well, thank you. I'm trying. Equality is not helping me. Just kidding. But you are, I appreciate it. Bach said, Sandy Hook was no psyop or red flag or fake, and Alex still suffers that shame. Why so? How do you mean he still suffers that shame? That people still know about it? Or that, what exactly do you mean? Gromteg said, most people aren't wrong. They just believe way too much in the idea that they're totally right.
Bingo.
That's a bar. That's a bar. Good one. All right, dive back in. Yeah,
that's
they are
on
being
them.
Destroyed.
It is so sad that they live like this.
They're being destroyed too. That's like one of the main insights I've had in the past 5 years. I come to things really slowly because I'm not a genius, but I always kind of felt hate toward the destroyers in any society. I hate destruction. I like building and creation. But the destroyers always were, I felt, my enemies. And my whole life I felt this. And then it was only the last couple of years I realized they're being destroyed also. Like they are suffering. They're not getting out of this unscathed. Like they think that they're getting power or whatever whatever they think they're getting.
Again, admittedly, I've not looked super deep into things. From what I understand, he used the entertainment defense that Tucker used. This isn't this isn't official. This is just entertainment, as far as I understand. But it's a very, very cursory understanding. Not because I don't care as much. If I knew it was going to be as big as it turned into, I would have paid attention. But at the time, I didn't really pay attention to Alex Jones that much at all. I think Sandy Hook was what? That was before. So I would have still been a never Trumper. So that makes sense. Why that's a little before my time, before my red pilling. And we live and we learn.
Unscathed, like they think that they're getting power or whatever whatever they think they're getting, but they're like in agony. Like,
well, a lot of them are cowards too, and they think survival of the fittest, just being as ruthless and mean as possible, is what they have to do to win. And then when you no longer hate them, because I was never driven by hate as my main force. It was just the old saying: you don't fight an enemy attacking your people because you hate them; you fight them because you love the people you're defending.
Exactly.
But still, I would always hear, no, forgive them, still fight them, still expose them, but really forgive them. That removes a spiritual connection that you have with them. And you see it when Christ says, be kind and pray for those that persecute you. It'll heap burning coals on their head.
It is convenient when, and Box, this isn't about you or you specifically, but just speaking generally, it is convenient when we talk about court cases and people will conflate a civil case with a criminal case as if they're the same thing, or a guilty or at fault verdict is the same thing in civil and criminal, and certainly is not. So, I mean, of course, it's not, you wouldn't get criminal charges for reporting things that didn't happen because you have freedom of speech. So to Box's point, the fact that they won kind of doesn't really go in either direction. I think it's yeah, I don't know. I have to look into it. And it seems like, he, as like I said, I didn't realize how big of a free speech thing, a business thing, an online thing it would become. So I by the time I got there, I was just like, all right, there's too much here, too much time, too much information. Unless it's directly relevant to what's going on, there's other things I got to learn about. So maybe one day we'll take a deep dive and see what's really good. Maybe in the way of what Candace Owens has been doing recently. Sure, I haven't watched a second of it, but she was on Howie Mandel's podcast a few days ago, and I was thinking about covering that. And Howie Mandel was asking Candace about her new thing. Before it was Bridget Macron, and now she's going after Harvey Weinstein, but not in the way you think, saying he was innocent, not an innocent man, but innocent of the crimes. So got some deep dives to do.
Says, be kind and pray for those that persecute you. It'll heap burning coals on their head.
Come here.
Stalkers, down at the kind of the low level. I've learned, like, once I didn't care about a stalker and I've had plenty, and you just forgive them, they just freak out and go away. When they're getting to you, they're enjoying that energy. So you still fight them with more energy than ever, but you do it from a position of just removing a damaged, collapsed, poor victim of the devil that you have a responsibility to protect yourself and your family from, but you don't give them the energy of being angry back at them and seeing them as powerful, because they're not their pawns. And these people that are influenced by satanic energy, by literal spiritual forces, demons, they are the slaves.
And again, even though I don't necessarily wouldn't use the same terminology, the sentiment is exactly, I agree completely. I agree completely with the statement. They're pawns.
The energy of being angry back at them and seeing them as powerful, because they're not their pawns. And these people that are influenced by satanic energy, by literal spiritual forces, demons, they are the slaves.
Yep. Tech said Alex Jones will either be remembered like Thomas Jefferson or like Winston from 1984 when he passes. Depends on who wins the culture war. Only time will tell. Yep. History is written by the victors. Victors indeed.
And when they're not out doing evil and persecuting people, they don't even feel like they're alive, and they're desperate and they're scared and they're lost. And then they get driven forward, by this dark force to like, it'll be all right once you just go out and once you take these people out. It's the good people that are making you feel bad. It's them. Destroy them, then you'll have peace. And that's the deeper understanding I've had of how this satanic system works.
And that's the type of ideology that can manifest when we say either you follow Christianity or you don't. Well, then they won't.
clearly true. And if you ask if there's anyone that you've really like focused on, I don't know, George Soros or Larry Fink. I mean, just the other day, I was talking to someone who knows Larry Fink really well. And I was saying, I think Larry Fink is like, I don't know, I've never met Larry Fink, but he's responsible for a lot of suffering from my perspective. And, this person said there's no one more unhappy than Larry Fink, like nobody. And I was just with him in a car. He was like screaming at someone on the phone. This guy's made billions of dollars.
Okay. I was like, who was Larry Fink again? That's the BlackRock CEO. I missed a couple from you guys. Hey, what y'all talking about? Mammy says, it's true though. My ex's daughter moved to Japan. She's lost so much weight just by the quality of food that we know they're killing us. Very, very true. Shout out to RFK.
Personally tormented. And I know a bunch of people because I know a lot of the people involved in things that I think are really evil. And there's not a happy one among them. Not one.
And beyond the fact that he's got billions, he's in control of more than anybody. We're always hearing Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world. Well, he's a guy that has been good at keeping the companies under his control. So he independently is the most powerful person, corporate, science, communications, titan. But then they spin it like, oh, he's the establishment. No, Trump, as you know, has a very small orbit of independent billionaires that are defending him because they want to stabilize civilization for everybody's good. But when you look at the international power and the largesse, it's been against Trump. More and more, they realize they're losing because the people are with Trump. And we were just talking last night. I hope you would repeat that because you were asking me with some folks we were talking to about what my view is basically on the geopolitical new landscape.
Yeah, well, man, it's talking about history being written by the victors. Look at historians today when something new comes up that goes against what is quote unquote written history, they try to bury it. We just covered Dave Smith and Douglas Murray. And even though he is somebody who's on the right and shares political positions with those of us who share those political positions, you know what I mean? It's not as simple as left or right. It's gotten so much more it always was more complex than that, but even it's getting more and more and more granular. More and more granular.
Asking me with some folks we were talking to about what my view is basically on the geopolitical new landscape. And I laid my view and you said, no, I think that's dead on. And then you said, basically, if you feel like repeating it, that we need to sell it very clearly. You're on this team or you're on that team, because it really is Team Chi-Com, EU, Globalist, New World Order. That's what's left. The UK, don't trust them who runs it, but they're trying to come in under a U.S. alliance. And America and the world needs to understand there's a new international system forming. The old one fell, and we better decide what this new system is going to look like and who's going to be in charge of it, because that's the way it is.
Yeah, and you hope that questions like that are almost never resolved without big wars. Unfortunately, you can't think of too many examples, or really any in history, where they have just sort of evolved gracefully. It's a lot of people die, and that's the point. Rome falls in the 5th century, new system or whatever. And I really hope that we can escape that. And I'm very opposed to violence and war. So
the left is not, though. So be prepared, guys. Can we just get 2 more likes on the video just to feed my ego? Thank you so much.
We should all be working toward that, but it's the big things that matter. And you have the rise of the superpower in the East, and that's the main fact of the moment that we live in. Is that the West is falling. I think it's been undermined from within by people like Larry Fink and many, many others. And but it's being replaced by this threat from the East. And I don't
damn, I shouldn't have done that. Somebody hit the like button, thank you. But then somebody left.
hate the Chinese at all. I think they're acting in what they think is their best interest. They're not Christian. They hate Christianity. So they've got a totally different worldview.
Listen to what he just said.
Acting in what they think is their best interest. They're not Christian. They hate Christianity.
2 different statements. They're not Christian. They hate Christianity. 2 different groups of people. There might be a lot of overlap, but that's 2 very different groups of people. People who are not Christian and people who hate Christianity. Not the same thing.
So they've got a totally different worldview. And I'm not mad at them about it, but
yeah, sure.
I think we should be honest about what it is, right? We're not going to have
being honest about what it is would be acknowledging that we don't understand fully what it is and that we should further study what it is instead of acting like we know what it is.
The United States and Russia and Iran and Malaysia, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, China is all sort of acting in their own spheres. That's not the way it works.
And as you said last night, all these countries want to be on Team America.
I think that's right.
And for people that don't know,
America, fuck yeah! I'm so sorry.
This, and I'm surprised. I mean, Trump understands that you do, but this needs to be everywhere. The globalists went in the 80s, 90s. They made a deal with Communist China. You get the manufacturing rare earth minerals, but you don't expand your military into the South China Sea. Well, they started 20 years ago expanding everywhere. And then it took Obama until about 14 years ago to figure that out. We had the Asia pivot, but by then it was too late. They'd infiltrated Congress. They were financing all this destroy America wokeism and bragging about it. And then people like Bill Gates and others continue to be totally aligned with China.
No, it's right.
And the CFR saying America's over, and Larry Fink making jokes about it just 3 or 4 years ago. Ha ha ha! 5 years ago, Trump thinks he'll bring America back. Ha ha ha! He hasn't seen China. I mean, very arrogant. And now that China's even double crossing the globalists and saying we don't even need you, and Xi Jinping's like, we're going to pay people to have kids. We're not doing your one-child policy anymore. They're breaking with the transhumanist, angle, but using the control grid, the cashless society, social credit score that the West helped them set up to now project that around the world. And so the globalists are being destroyed by their own Frankenstein monster. And then the EU's decided to ally with China. And again, the UK is at least on the surface acting like, no, they want to be in a new Anglophile alliance with the quote U.S. empire. And again, the U.S. has a limited window to get everybody on board with us, and then our alliance easily with the key countries in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, central among it.
And I think that Biden's presidency was huge in setting us back in that goal. Being global leaders to fight off globalism is a huge undertaking. And with very little time, a lot can happen. And so over those 4 years, it seems like so much was pushed that I do believe we needed that juxtaposition of Trump to Biden so that we could get Trump again and we could get the best Trump that we could get. I think if he had, if they had accepted that he won in 2020, it's obviously I didn't want all of the bullshit from Biden, but I don't think we could have gotten the level of Trump that we have now. And it just goes to show you how important it is to be on point with every little single thing that you possibly can, which is why we need a community. Because you personally, me personally, any one person can't, except for Alex Jones, can't be on top of every single thing. That's what the community is for. And with that, now, did I exit out? What a moron. What a moron. Well, actually, okay, here, I'm going to do this then.
And some other alliances, and then obviously an open economic alliance with Russia, who wants an economic alliance and has more resources than any country in the world. That is the real chessboard, and that's why the left and the globalists want to drive America and Russia apart, because geographically, and also militarily, and then also scientifically, and then just raw material.
Of course,
that is the obvious.
If you believe.
Shout out to Bambi with a 199. Thank you so very, very much. And here it comes. There we go. So we need to focus more on our frenemies, not China. And I definitely agree that there is a shift where we need to, exactly you said, I was going to say focus our focus. Hone in our focus. Completely agreed. So really quick.
I believe Russia's...
God damn it. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our disciple chat for members only, our word of the day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join.
Hello, come and join.
There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. All right. Make sure you check it out, guys.
quickly, and then just raw material.
Of course.
That is the obvious.
If you believe Russia's their greatest enemy, if you are working full time to divide the United States.
Hold on, let's get him on screen for that. We got some love for Morty. Hail Morty. Hail to the king, baby. Indeed. I am reading this with sarcasm, and I don't appreciate it. If it's not sarcastic, then I do appreciate it. But that didn't seem smooth to me. But we'll get there. Where are we at? Matthew King said, if Trump would have stayed in office, he would not have been the force he is currently being. He was still trying to play nice with the establishment until they tried to end him in more ways than one. Absolutely. Oh, not so good. Okay. Because I was asking King before, I was like, is it kind of janky? Because I had it in here to play as just, a button click, but in the same way that the intro echoes, it echoed and it didn't work. But hey, apparently. Yeah. So if you guys were here last time, then there was the video that I clicked and it just through StreamYard. But there we go. So maybe I'll stop talking about it and get back to it so that people don't leave because they were watching an ad and now we don't get back to what we were talking about. But remember, I took off all the ads from the stream, so do with that what you will. Diving back in.
It's from Russia. You are acting against the interests of the United States. You hate the United States. You hate the West. You want to see it fall. They hate Russia because it's a white Christian country. That's a fact. Why Russia? In all of this, once you take 3 steps back, makes perfect sense. Like we have a lot of people in our country working actively for the destruction of the West, of Christian civilization. So that's just a fact.
Because it stands in the way.
Sorry, they don't, people don't like it when you say that, but they don't like it when you say it because it's absolutely true. And the farther you get from the United States, that's one of the great benefits of travel, the more obvious it is. Like you don't know you're married to an alcoholic until you go on vacation without that person. You're like, oh shit, I'm married to an alcoholic. Like you can't see any of this when.
Wait, you don't know you're married to an alcoholic until you go on vacation without that person? I get what he's trying to say, but what?
Until you go on vacation without that person, you're like, oh shit, I'm married to an alcoholic. Like you can't see any of this when you're in the middle of it, but when you leave.
Oh, okay, I get it. So you go on vacation with them and they're, focused all on the drinking. Then you go on vacation without them. You're like, oh, we can focus on the vacation. Okay, I got it. It took me a second. It's
like, oh my gosh. So, okay, I just want to go back a step. So you have made reference a couple of times to the rise in violence, the acceptance of violence, which is, of course, the purest distillation of evil, in my opinion, most obvious for sure. And there are signs that it's, we're entering a violent stage. I pray that we're not, but it feels like we are. You just had a longtime employee assassinated. I don't know the extent to which you want to talk about that, but
let's pour one out for Jamie White. Jamie White, and in the InfoWars journalist who was, as he just said, assassinated.
It's like we are.
Again, I don't know too much about this, and I didn't listen to this part specifically, so we all learning together.
Or you just had a longtime employee assassinated. I don't know the extent to which you want to talk about that, but what was that? Is it a harbinger of things to come?
Well, a month ago, Jamie White, a great reporter, great guy. We were working up there Sunday night till about 9:00. I left. He went home and then got shot through the carotid artery, 1 shot through his neck, and then out the back, and then he bled to death. By the time I got to the hospital, about 15 minutes later, the police got there very quick.
How old was he?
He was 36.
Damn. I'm going to be 36 this year. That is wild. I got
to the hospital about 15 minutes later, the police got there very quick.
How old was he?
He was 36. And he was on the Ukraine hit list along with myself and you and a bunch of other people, and everybody getting the SWAT calls. The SWAT teams sent to their houses and their families has been on that list as well.
Which is basically everyone you know.
Yes. And then of course, Ukraine tortured American journalist Gonzalo Lira to death and then celebrated that. And of course, we have the would-be assassin down in Mar-a-Lago, who's a big leftist, connected to all these intelligence agencies, recruiting hundreds of fighters for Ukraine, an American. Then he comes back and tries to kill Trump. So I think, you've seen Alexander Dugin's daughter blown up in front of him in 2022.
In Moscow by the Ukrainians.
In Moscow.
Murdering a guy's daughter, applauded by Ann Applebaum and all the rest of the ghouls in the United States effectively, because they don't like Alexander Dugin's ideas, so it's okay to murder his daughter with the...
Shout out to Eyes to See 333 RIP. Welcome to the party. Gone too soon.
Effectively, because they don't like Alexander Dugin's ideas, so it's okay to murder his daughter with the.
Well, that's the new. I mean, that's
clearly the help of U.S. intel agencies. I mean, let's stop lying about it, right? CIA.
Absolutely. I mean, I said 3+ years ago when the war started, I said the U.S. is running all the targeting.
Of course they are.
With the weapons. That's just a fact. And with their soldiers on the ground, as I know some of the people whose sons are there, when it all started, were really nervous. They didn't give me details. They're like, yeah, your sons are there, special operations. And there's been a lot of
U.S. military personnel fighting Russia in Ukraine.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm on record 3 years ago saying that. And then 2 weeks ago, New York Times, the U.S. has been running the war and been there the whole time. And, get a Pulitzer Prize. So that was all known.
A shout out to our boy Trey Williams. Welcome to the party. Of course, treats for Morty. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Thank you so very, very much, sir. Very good to see you. And that puts us past, guys, the halfway mark. 4 more super chats of $2 or more, or if we hit that $50 for any number of super chats, I gotta do push-ups. And I believe I put it for 15, right? Even though, we haven't hit the goal in a while. Usually the more times in the row that we hit the goal, I'll put the number up. But I was feeling frisky tonight. 15 push-ups. We are close. Thank you so very, very much. And welcome to the party, sir.
Been there the whole time. And, get a Pulitzer Prize. So that was all known. And so now Trump is trying to rightfully end it. I mean, people that don't know, I know your audience knows, but we have Victoria Nuland, we have Soros, back when he could still talk, on Fareed Zakaria on CNN saying, we went there with State Department money and overthrew their government 15 years ago. We did it again. And we're finally going to break up Russia. And I'm going to be the czar of Russia. 5 weeks ago, they had the deputy head of the unelected EU Commission say, we're going to keep this war going for decades. And we're going to bankrupt Russia with it. And we're going to break Russia in 5 parts.
Quality and Deference said, PSA, public service announcement, the overwhelmingly majority of violent criminals come from single mother homes. It's almost like the value of the nuclear family is an inherent good to a flourishing society. Crazy.
We're going to keep this war going for decades, and we're going to bankrupt Russia with it, and we're going to break Russia in 5 parts. So they're on the news saying, we want peace, we want love. Oh, no, Ukraine will never join NATO, which is why Putin went in, and the weapons being brought in to his border. And then separately, Zelensky's always, no, I join NATO. And so,
NATO.
So, again, the West started this war. Imagine if Russia...
I'm aware, yeah.
I know you know more better than anybody, probably.
Yep, and in case anybody didn't know, thank you for the information, eyes to see. So Jamie White, reporter from Alex Jones' InfoWars, whom Ukraine put on the Ukrainian enemies and death list, was brutally murdered in Austin, Texas. Yeah, that is what they are discussing. Gone too soon. So he says, feminism turns women into deadbeat dads. Think about it. Yep. And coming with a Rumble rant. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. Yummy. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. And Jaden is back. Welcome.
No, it just hasn't circled. I mean, you've actually,
I
mean, any American journalist, you've been everywhere. You've documented it. And it's just, we are starting the fight. These crazies are dragging us in to what's really already World War III conventionally, that every escalation moves us closer to nuclear war. The doomsday clock with the atomic energy scientists, was the closest it's ever been. And so this is really fundamental. And so any concern I have about being sued or lawfared or attacked doesn't even hit my psychological, spiritual, mental radar, because the big threat is so big of what these megalomaniacs are doing.
There's an aspect of the virtue signaling culture that we have, where it's like, I'll say things or do things as long as to advance our cause and all of this, as long as it's convenient. You know how all the protests just go dead from September to May because I'll go out and protest. I care so much about this, unless I have to wear a jacket. It's very rare, maybe not very rare, but it is increasingly rare of the people who act like they really have passion for something, that they are actually willing to put themselves in harm's way. And I don't necessarily mean physically, but being in danger of a lawsuit, being in danger of getting your channel demonetized, and at different levels. At some point, you have to say, okay, this is a line I'm not going to cross. I'm not going to get arrested for this, or I'm not going to whatever. But you got to stand on business. And this is slightly related. When I was at DebateCon, Alex O'Connor was supposed to be there. One of the biggest atheist creators ever. And all the atheist debaters that were at DebateCon sucked. Alex O'Connor would not have sucked. But there was Muslims sending in death threats. And so he didn't go. And so obviously, as a fan and as somebody who paid to be there, I'm like, well, that sucks for me because I want to see that. Well, I don't know exactly what these death threats said. But at a certain point, if you're going to be that guy, if you're going to be somebody who talks about these things that you know triggers people to send death threats, then at what point are you going to say, okay, there's death threats. We're going to bring security, bring a dude with a gun, and hope for the best? Again, I don't know exactly what was said, so I can't make a judgment, but the question certainly was raised in my mind that at a certain point, no matter what your political position is, if you're passionate about it, then people are going to be mad about it. Matthew said, most of these protesters aren't even willing to be chilly. Slight discomfort makes them stay home. Joke about reverse climate change. Sorry.
Mental radar, because the big threat is so big of what these megalomaniacs are doing.
So one thing one fact I don't think is penetrated the brains of policymakers in Washington is that we just lost a war with Russia. The U.S. was running that war. The U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, CIA, running the war.
Douglas Murray would be like, we lost a war? What do you mean?
With Russia. The U.S. was running that war. The U.S. military, the Pentagon, State Department, CIA, running the war against Russia. It was never about Ukraine. No one in Washington cares about Ukraine or the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian men destroyed. The fact it'll be populated by third worlders. I mean, Ukraine, we just eliminated Ukraine. Nobody cares. This was a war against Russia. They hate Russia for a lot of reasons, mostly spiritual.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
But we lost. And my concern is because nobody will say that out loud, that we're overstating our power. And in the same way that you sometimes see like divorced 60-year-old guys hitting on young women and don't realize that the young women think this is like absurd. You're like an old man. Why, you really think I'm going to sleep with you? But the 60-year-old guy hasn't readjusted to the reality of his present condition. He still thinks he's 25. Do you see what I'm saying? And he humiliates himself. That can happen at the level of nations where, you think you can affect outcomes that you actually don't have the power to bring about.
You can do shit.
And so that's called hubris, and that's how empires get destroyed and populations vaporized. And I'm really afraid of that. Like, why can't...
Okay, all right, we're going to cover this eventually, but I saw this today and I wanted to show you guys. It is, we're just going to do a quick side quest. Quick side quest as we're talking about the protesters and the libs and all that stuff. Give me a second to find it. We had our boy or girl, depending on your political affiliations.
What do you think?
Decisions. We'll just show the cold open. But Blair White went to the I think this was the Trump protest in DC. Was it DC? Whatever. But a protest, the first one that they came out because they didn't have to wear jackets.
Think about
with her social bullshit, just for the record.
What social bullshit?
Social bullshit.
Oh, my whole existence.
That's just a silly argument.
Okay.
We're done.
Why? Look at my stalker, the fake security guard, which is illegal, by the way.
Queer and trans people are being targeted. The black
free stuff. Take it if you'll use it. Consider donating $1 to the National Network of Abortion Funds.
And trans people are being targeted. The Black Lives Matter sidewalk in Washington, D.C. being like torn out of the ground.
Well, I can't believe the hypocrisy.
This guy is why I wanted to show you.
See this joke of a reality TV show we call America.
So what do we do then?
CNN. Let me get your phone number. That's the move.
Bruh. So we will very, 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 very likely cover that as probably one of the shorter live reaction videos, but they're coming out. It's that time of year. It is that time of year. Yup. Zippy said abortion equals Nazi eugenics.
Bingo.
That is a factually and historically accurate statement. All right, I'm back in.
You actually don't have the power to bring about. And so that's called hubris, and that's how empires get destroyed and populations vaporized. And I'm really afraid of that. Like, why can't we should know that we were not able to win a conventional war against Russia, period. So, like, what does that say about our power? And maybe we should readjust our expectations a little bit. I don't want.
Well, I mean, it's not like we sent the best of the best. It's not like we sent SEAL Team 6 over there. And it was like, oh no, they got defeated. Like, we're just sending them weapons, mostly, and some random people. So I don't really like the framing of we lost the war. We weren't really fighting a war. We were funding a proxy war.
Period. So, like, what does that say about our power? And maybe we should readjust our expectations a little bit. I don't want that to be true. By the way, I'm American. I'm not leaving. My family's buried here. But, like, don't you think that we run the risk of thinking we're capable of things that we're not capable of doing?
Well, it's an example. Hillary had a lot of fraud baked in, but Trump won in such a landslide, he beat her. And then a lot of Republicans and conservatives and populists thought Trump was going to win for sure, so we didn't have as big a turnout, so they were able to...
Oh no, guys, I forgot to give you a warning. We got 10 seconds left on this swole goal. But remember, if we can make it to $50, that still counts as well. Right now, we are at 27. So we're more than halfway there.
And then a lot of Republicans and conservatives and populists thought Trump was going to win for sure, so we didn't have as big a turnout, so they were able to steal 2020. But
yup. I can say that now. But
there was such a giant landslide this time, it overrode the mail-in ballots, the dead people, the illegal aliens voting, all of that. They ran out of bullets. But that's a perfect example of how the Democrats were sure they were going to win in November last year. And they were sure they were going to win in November in 2016, and they didn't. So they had this incredible hubris and this incredible arrogance. And so many of them are actually militarily ignorant themselves. They just put on this big imperious act. And of course, there's the clip of Sean Penn saying, well, I don't think nuclear weapons should be off the table. We shouldn't be afraid to use them because that gives Russia an advantage. Well, it's called mutually assured destruction for a reason, because anybody that uses them is insane. So, I mean,
well, they got in the middle of the war. This just came out the other day. The Pentagon.
Shout out to our boy Per Usual. Welcome to the party. Very good to say yes, sir. Zippy said, counterfactual. The U.S. and NATO invaded Russia via Ukraine, so that could give half of it to Russia to get them to come into NATO. Stranger things have happened. That would be quite the plan. I mean, like you said, stranger things have happened.
Well, they got in the middle of the war. This just came out the other day. The Pentagon wrote an assessment saying that they calculated that if we gave weapons to Ukraine that allowed the Ukrainian military or our military using Ukraine as a proxy to hit targets within Russia, they judged the likelihood of a nuclear exchange at 50%. Mm-hmm. And they did it anyway. At that point, like, you should be in prison
50?
For the criminally insane.
That's a coin flip. 50%? You just said illegal should never be allowed to vote. Democrats will do anything to win.
Bingo.
Yep. Or wait. No, I mean, how dare you? You're either racist or xenophobic or both, depending on whichever helps my argument the best right now. But usually said, I believe that's what they were talking about. As soon as I joined. I don't know. The combo ended as I joined. Who's they? What you talk about, Willis? Oh, God damn it.
Using Ukraine as a proxy to hit targets within Russia, they judged the likelihood of a nuclear exchange at 50%. Mm-hmm. And they did it anyway. At that point, like, you should be in prison for the criminally insane.
Well, that's right. If Russia...
For the criminally insane. Not just in prison, but in prison for the criminally insane.
Moved.
You're risking nuclear war?
Uh-huh.
Like, you should be locked up. I don't understand. Like I couldn't even believe that. I mean, I of course intuitively knew that.
And say that again, it's not interrupted. That's important to sink in for people.
Let's hear it again, because I'm glad Alex said that, because I kind of heard it and I was like, yeah, I mean, that's crazy, but let's hear it in full one more time.
That the Pentagon under Joe Biden assessed, like, because they assess the likelihood of everything, or they guess, they sort of work out how they think things will progress. But in every scenario globally, they do this. This is what they do at the Pentagon. Okay. And they assess that if we gave certain weapons that allowed the Ukrainians to strike targets within Russia, if we did that, which we did,
then it would be a coin flip.
The chance of a nuclear exchange, a nuclear holocaust that killed everybody on Earth, would be 50%. And they did.
I don't know how you calculate that. But if there's any validity to that at all, I agree with the criminally insane part. Because you can be a globalist, you could be a multi-billionaire who doesn't care about anything, and da-da-da-da-da-da. But if there's no world, if there's no people, then you ain't shit.
Of a nuclear exchange, a nuclear holocaust that killed everybody on Earth, would be 50%. And they did it anyway. So imagine the brain, imagine the evil. Like, you would have to be controlled by like supernatural forces to do something. I think there's a 50% chance every person on Earth could be killed in a nuclear exchange, but I'm doing it anyway. Like, how are you still walking free? I'm serious.
No, and I'm glad you brought that assessment up, because I really tried to get people to focus on that. And I agree with that assessment. I mean, let's boil that down. Imagine if Russia had the equivalent of ATACMS and Storm Shadows in Canada, in Mexico, on our border, that they can fire above the trees that can't be shot down, that are nuclear capable. And Putin said this. He said, if you shoot a few missiles once it started, we'll just shoot them down. But if we see a large aerospace attack with a whole bunch of these, we have to believe it is a first strike to take out our nuclear deterrent. And so when we see a large signature of a large aerospace attack, be it cruise missiles, be it glide bombs, be it a mix of aircraft, or all of them, we will do a total commitment. And then
Tucker, what about this guy? What about this guy? He's down 50 pounds. Let's give our boy some credit.
Be it glide bombs, be it a mix of aircraft, or all of them, we will do a total commitment. And then Russia and TV said, here's the government scenario. And it showed nukes hitting all the NATO countries and submarines, hitting on from there. And we're talking about world destroyed in 30 minutes, folks, for sure. Submarines off our coast, 2 minutes, New York's gone. 5 minutes, Dallas is gone. This is real. What would happen if Russia was bombing DC with conventional bombs, with large, heavy cruise missiles? They're
droning the capital, as the U.S. did through the Ukrainians. They droned the Kremlin.
You were there once when you saw one blow up?
I was there. I was actually driving by.
Well, and as Douglas Murray would say, that makes Tucker the expert on everything Russia and Ukraine, because he was there.
I was over there last winter to interview Putin. I was driving by the Kremlin, just like on the street in downtown Moscow.
I actually, before we go, want to take a look at the comment section of that stream. It is insane, but we'll get there.
Last winter to interview Putin, I was driving by the Kremlin, just like on the street in downtown Moscow. There's smoke coming out of the top of the Kremlin. And so I called the guy at the press office who I was dealing with to set the Putin interview from the vehicle. And I was like, I think your Kremlin's on fire. And he's like, oh, no, it's not. I was like, I'm right there. I'm looking at it. Russians never want to admit that they have been unable to defend their capital city. So a lot of murder has taken place by the Ukrainians of Russians and attempted murder of Americans, by the way.
And just think about the provocation here.
But the Russians in every case are like, oh, that's not happening. They don't want to admit it because for a bunch of reasons, but it would force them to respond. But anyway, I called up and like, I think you guys just got droned. No, didn't happen. But it did happen. I saw it. I personally saw it. So like, there's been a ton of that stuff. What would we do if the Russians droned the U.S. Capitol or the White House? Like, that's so freaking crazy.
Well, Russia knows it's a provocation. The globalists want to reset. Their financial system's going down, and they're willing to roll the dice, and they think a nuclear war is survivable, as you know, as the Pentagon has said. So it's complete madness.
Nuclear war is not survivable. That's a fact.
It's not.
By the way, nuclear weapon explodes over a nuclear power plant. What happens? Anyone know?
Massive.
I've never even thought of that. What would happen?
Survivable. That's a fact.
It's not.
By the way, nuclear weapon explodes over a nuclear power plant. What happens? Anyone know?
Massive meltdown that makes Fukushima look like a
exactly. And we have a lot of nuclear power plants around the world. So
wait a minute. Okay, so what am I actually asking here? So what would be the added level of destruction if a nuclear warhead detonated over a nuclear power plant versus if it detonated anywhere else? I never even thought of that. Nuclear on nuclear on nuclear. Let's see. ChatGPT said that's a chilling but fascinating question. Well, let me get my side quest thing here. And it's one that often gets dramatized in movies and media. Here's a breakdown of what would likely happen, grounded in real-world physics and engineering. So the short answer is a nuclear warhead detonating over a nuclear power plant would not cause a significantly greater nuclear explosion than detonating elsewhere. But it could result in a much more devastating radiological disaster, essentially a supercharged dirty bomb effect. Key differences from normal detonation. So there's no nuclear chain reaction. So it's not just the bomb. Now we've got the nuclear stuff in the plant. The radiological contamination. So what happens is the explosion destroys the reactor containment, which scatters radioactive fuel and waste over a wide area. Think of this like Chernobyl or Fukushima, but instantly with wider reach. Jesus Christ. So how bad are we talking? Blast radius and thermal effects are essentially the same either way, but the fallout from hitting a nuclear power plant could spread much farther, contaminate air, water, and soil for miles beyond what the bomb would normally affect, render entire regions uninhabitable, require mass evacuations. We got a real-world analogy here. Think of it like this. A nuclear bomb over a city is like lighting a firework in a dry forest. It's already bad. Doing it over a nuclear power plant is like doing it in a fireworks factory. The primary explosion is the same, but the secondary effects can spiral way out of control. I have never once in my life thought about the nuclear on nuclear attack, and I don't like it. Not one bit. Not one bit. Alex is having Tucker's baby. Well, all I know is that Alex Stein is his biological stepson. Precious said I'm gonna have him on. All right, well, congratulations. Congratulations. Gomsek said the Twin Towers were bad enough, but the White House? Maybe that's why so many people wrongfully get so worked up about J6. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. That is a very reasonable aspect of, of seeing like it's different because it's the White House. The hypocrisy comes in when the 529 insurrection was worse and nobody gave a shit about that. But attacking the White House, whether we want to call it an attack or not, I'm saying from their perspective, absolutely. The fact that it is the White House makes it way, way worse. I don't like this. It's a shout out to Jaden. You have a good one. Don't forget, if you ever join the membership, you can join us in the after party. Have a good one.
Does anyone know?
Massive meltdown that makes Fukushima look like a
Exactly. And we have a lot of nuclear power plants around the world. So
there's over 450 that are big industrial, thousands of small ones. And when society breaks down, they all melt down in different ways, much worse than Fukushima and Chernobyl combined.
I agree.
And it makes the whole surface of the earth, that's mainline science, unlivable for hundreds of millions of years.
I agree. And I know everyone's for nuclear power, and it's like obvious we need nuclear power.
I mean, I am for nuclear power. I think, as we just read, it's not like a nuclear dirty bomb is going to be A-OK as long as there's no nuclear power plants around. It's just going to be way worse. And so I think we want to live based on the idea that there's not going to be a nuclear attack. Because if there is a nuclear attack, it doesn't really matter what kind of energy we're using. So given that that's a possibility, it's something to think about. But I don't think that's enough of a reason to be like, nope, no nuclear. I don't know. I'm going to put that to a poll for you guys. And just to let you guys know, we did just pass the 2-hour mark. So if you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
Hundreds of millions of years.
I agree. And I know everyone's for nuclear power, and it's like, obvious we need nuclear power. I don't, okay, I'm not against nuclear power in theory, but until someone can answer the question you just posed, like, what about that? Then
Well, plus, they're never run right. They always have scenarios where they're not going to leak. Basically, they all
You
leak.
see all these stupid concerns, like, the answer is nuclear. You want more AI data centers, comma, which I don't.
The answer is coal.
Obviously, but I don't understand why everyone.
One second. I need a way. How am I trying to phrase this? So, given the bomb comment, should that. Okay, I got it.
This is such a sidebar, and I'll stop in one sentence, but like those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s remember that all the opponents to nuclear power were like, you know.
I just learned something new today. The word assuage is with a G. I always thought it was a suede, like a suede jacket, but it's a assuage. All right.
Like those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s remember that all the opponents to nuclear power were like, you know, furry armpit, dumb people. And, you know, all the Greenpeace people. And so you're just like, oh, shut up. Nuclear is obviously the solution. Like, you just don't understand science. How can you be against climate change and also against nuclear power? I've said that myself like 100 times on TV.
Okay. Do you have a good answer for us? Because that is a good question. And if there's a reason, then I would like to say no nuclear because we're going to get a nuclear war. But that's not really how I'm seeing it. Zippy said the left loves to plan revolutions. The left loves and plans revolution, thus fear it when it comes for them. It's projection. Almost in. I gotta check that. What about the War of 1812? What am I missing here? To power the globin. What is wrong with me? Golden Dome. I know words.
You be against climate change and also against nuclear power. I've said that myself like 100 times on TV. But it's not about the spent fuel rods when we do with nuclear waste. That's easy. Put it in Yucca Mountain. It's about what if these things are untended? What if they're, you know, the subject of a conventional or nuclear attack?
And you look at all the mismanagement.
There's massive vulnerability. Like, why doesn't anyone mention that? Before we put nuclear power plants all over my country, which I think a lot of people are psyched to do because they want to get rich from AI, like, they should answer the question. Like, that's really freaking scary, no?
Well, you have to also ask, why do they build so many here and in, like, Japan? The plants.
Global. I was thinking global. Like, we're talking about the globalists, talking about global stuff. I had global.
Right on fault lines. I mean, there's a real. We see a lot of ineptitude in industry and things. So you don't want to have things that have the potential to be so dangerous. And when coal creates carbon dioxide that plants breathe, and the earth used to have a lot higher carbon dioxide than it does now. And it
shout out to Soil to Soul. We haven't forgotten about you, girl. Whenever you are back. CO2 is plant food.
Creates carbon dioxide that plants breathe, and the earth used to have a lot higher carbon dioxide than it does now, and it makes plants live longer. Yields are up. It will green the planet. All the studies show it.
And I think there's something that plants that breathe in CO2, they put something else out that I'm pretty sure. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert, Douglas Murray, but I'm pretty sure it helps humans. Am I wrong about that? I think it's called oxygen.
We're actually terraforming the earth to make it better. It's like God-given. When you actually look at the real studies and talk to the real climatologists, the people, they'll tell you, no, it's great that we're bringing this old carbon back up and putting it back in the atmosphere. This is fabulous. More carbon is good. Carbon dioxide, oxygen, water, and sunlight are the 4 ingredients of life on this planet. And the globalists created a way to tax and regulate one of the 4 pillars of life on this planet.
So you guys learned something new, that oxygen is good for people.
It is good. I mean, they're trying to convince us that cows' methane is bad. You actually look at the carbon equation, it all turns right back into the gases it came from. It's a good guess. But again,
I want to ask you guys something. You may or may not have, I feel like you would be familiar with this, but let's just see. Are you familiar with what he's talking about in Cowspiracy? Do we know what this movie is? My brother, who used to be, typical not like based politically, not like super based, but just one of these more apathetic, but like kind of seeing through the bullshit of political theater, that kind of thing. He told me about this movie. Oh, you gotta watch this, dude. And of course, he's a vegan, vegetarian, one of those things. And he has his super liberal girlfriend. They live in the heart of Philly, and they become super, 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 super liberal. Oh boy, I did not know exactly what I was doing when, like 5-ish years ago on Christmas, I got him Maps of Meaning for a gift. I knew he wouldn't like Peterson, but I just wanted to see if he would feign it, if he would pretend to read it, if maybe he actually would read it. But Zebby said, "Oxygen kills you. It eats away at things." Very true. Very true. Shout out to Kelly Green. Welcome to the party. You ballsy for this. My cans got banned for posting Jones' clip. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and give me some money in case I can't do this anymore. Welcome to the party, brother. Gonzek said, methane and carbon emissions come mostly from farm animals. Bullshit. I don't even necessarily know that that's bullshit. I just think that this part is bullshit. You know? Kind of said, I do watch Jones on the regular. I never recovered. I hear ya. Let's dive back in. So that's what he's talking about.
Actually, look at the carbon equation. It is good. I mean, they're trying to convince us that cows' methane is bad. You actually look at the carbon equation, it all turns right back into the gases it came from. It's a good gas. But again, if the cows are bad, well, what else releases methane? We do. We're the carbon that they want to reduce. They want to.
We are the carbon that they want to reduce. Yeah. We are the carbon they want to reduce.
Teach us to hate ourselves, teach us not to have a life force, and their new religion is they will give us all these indulgences and all these flagellations and all these things we have to do to atone for how bad we are to the priest class that is the big satanic green church.
So, as any person who cares about their message should. But, we know the certain channels that will claim things right away. Damn. So, I mean, we have enough people here to swing the 100% vote in the other direction. But let me know, given the bomb comment, if you're just joining us, Alex Jones was talking about, if a nuclear warhead detonated over a nuclear power plant, that it would, be way worse. We looked up at ChatGPT and really showed how far that would go. And so given that notion, is that and then Tucker was like, yeah, everybody's saying nuclear power. We should have nuclear power. But what about this nuclear bomb? So given that circumstance, is that enough to assuage you against, assuage you against nuclear energy? 100% of you are saying no. I'll get one more vote because that will lock it in, but let me know. Yep, the depopulation agenda. Thanks, Bill Gates. And he said, bullshit. Tucker had an actual expert on his show. What? Tucker had an actual expert on her show that's dedicated to his career, to that focus. And he said specifically, there's nothing we can do to change it to live. I don't understand what was that just a typo, or are you talking about another woman? Or are you misgendering him? I didn't mean to do that one, but you know what I mean. An expert. Not here, or on his show. An expert on his show that's dedicated his career to that focus, and he said specifically, there's nothing we can do to change it. So live business as usual. We're talking about the methane levels? There you go. They don't even fart, they burp. I mean, gas excretion is. I'm not going to knock down the cowspiracy argument on that fact alone, but still bullshit. Still bullshit.
For how bad we are to the priest class that is the big satanic green church.
So the threat of nuclear war overhangs any conflict with a country that has nuclear weapons, of course. You push someone far enough, you don't know what could happen, and it could result in the extinction of humanity. So
I also never really, not that I didn't understand mutually assured destruction, but it does seem like that's just kind of a thing that we say. Because, like, let's say Russia is whatever, and they want to send something over to North America. That's not going to destroy the world, but is going to destroy North America. How does it help us to just send another nuke back? Because if we're nuked, it's not like we can say, okay, well, we still have the power that we're going to do this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying no military response would be warranted. I'm just saying, how does it make it better for Americans? If a nuke is incoming, well, it's incoming, we better blow them up too. That's not going to stop us from getting blown up. So, I mean, I understand the notion that, like, okay, everybody chill with the nukes because, it could get haywire real fast. I get that part. But if someone goes over the line, where does that hold? Or is it just saying this is the idea that should help us all from crossing that line in the first place? I don't know.
Of course, you push someone far enough, you don't know what could happen, and it could result in the extinction of humanity. So that's like the main fact. That's why people want to run, not to have nukes, right? Obviously. So with that in mind, what do you make of the repeated public statements by a bunch of European leaders, particularly Starmer in the UK and the president of France, that they're ready to continue the war against Russia with their own feeble armies? Like, what? That seems crazy to me. What is that actually about?
And they've said that now they're sending the troops, that if they get killed, then that's direct war with NATO. They admit that the EU population-wise is collapsing. Those they've brought in, most of them, 80%, never even get jobs. All the different ministers, defense ministers, as you know, the last few years have said,
it's SRA. Alex got me into how much the elites really love their secret and satanic rituals. It just so happens I've recently found myself looking back into interviews of people being traded for SRA. Systematic retardation, satanic ritual appreciation. I don't know what you're talking about. Whether Satan is real, the elites are really behind so much of the satanic ritual abuse. Oh, is that what it is? Satanic ritual abuse? They believe it's real. Oh, yeah, they believe it's real. And it is the again, it's coming back to the fact that we don't have any language. We don't have any understanding of any of that to be able to refute it. And so because they are at the top of the food chain, they just do whatever the fuck they do. And because they get bored with normal stuff very quickly, they get into satanic stuff. And absolutely, they believe it is real. He said CERN is a creepy satanic worshiping institution. In what way? I've not heard that before.
Or even get jobs. That all the different ministers, defense ministers, as you know, the last few years have said, our business model is a 20-year war. They think they can continue that and somehow bankrupt Russia and again break it up into 5 parts. So they've made it existential for themselves. They made it existential for Russia. And you go back to the Pentagon.
Explain yourselves.
Assessment that was public, that 50% chance that if we start bombing, and that's the West doing it, mainly the U.S. inside Russia, they would strike back with nukes. And then Putin clarifying, well, if we see a large launch, it could be a sneak attack with nukes. So we're going to
send me a link.
Nuke you at that point. Please don't do that.
What's coming?
So at least they limited, to.
They have the goddess thing. The goddess thing. Are you? Well, wait. Are we talking about just what's the one with the owl effigy? That's not the same thing, right? That's I don't remember what it's called, but the like Luke Rukowski got, a video. Bloomberg, something like that. That's not what you're talking about, right? And so they have a goddess thing with multiple arms in front of it, and have done rituals in front of CERN. Isn't it built on? I mean, don't ask me. I don't fucking know. Bohemian Grove. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's the thing Jones went to. Bohemian Grove. That's what I was thinking of. That definitely is fucking wild. But what? Okay, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm. Because I thought CERN was the fucking Large Hadron Collider. Where am I? Yes. Is that not what this is? Yeah, the Large Hadron Collider. So yeah, I mean, I definitely have not seen a video on why this would be weird at all. So let me know.
With nukes, so we're gonna have to go ahead and nuke you at that point. Please don't do that. So at least they limited, to 4 or 5 big cruise missile attacks a day, and then maybe 100 drones a day going into major cities and attacking their nuclear bases.
Is there music in this? Well, become a member and join the after party. We are going to check out this video here with whatever is going on there. Yeah, we can't play music, but we got that, and there's another secret thing that we will be doing in the after party. So make sure you join up.
And then maybe 100 drones a day going into major cities and attacking their nuclear bases, their nuclear bomber bases. I mean, extreme provocation, testing the line, and not playing Russian roulette where you have a 6-shot revolver and you put 1 .357 Magnum casing in, round in, but this is 3 out of 6. And they're like, well, that's a safe bet. Let's roll the dice, spin the cylinder, and then click it to our head every day. It just goes the fundamental insanity that you see escalating. I mean, if you go back to the actual
yeah, so I'm not familiar at all with this. So whatever video Bambi has just dropped, I'm very excited to see what it is, because you guys know that I come from a more left-wing thinking. I've walked away from the left, but that's who I was, and especially moving away from religion. Then the obvious thing to slide in there is scientism. And so while I am certainly not a scientismist, I do strongly believe in science, and I've only ever heard of CERN in the context of the Higgs boson and the God particle, as well as the Large Hadron Collider. So I don't know, but we finna find out. Coming up on 2.5 hours, guys. Let's keep this party raging.
Every day.
Let's get Morty one more. Look at him sleeping, so cute. Let's just get one more. Oh, and all right, on the dime, we got our boy Indie Film. Thank you so very, very much, sir. There we go. So that is, what are we at? $22, $30, $33, guys. So what is that? $17. $17 will get you 15 push-ups. But we do have a new wait. We do not have a new, right? We do not have a new, but thank you. So very, very much, TV Viewerski, holding on to that sponsor spot. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about that. TV, you didn't remind me the whole time. Either way, thank you so very, very much, all of you. Let's keep the party raging.
Safe bet. Let's roll the dice, spin the cylinder, and then click it to our head every day. It just goes the fundamental insanity that you see escalating. I mean, if you go back to the
actual insanity, not I don't know, will tariffs work or something, whatever you could argue, but like risking nuclear war. I mean, that's so fucking crazy that
Mods, I need you for that shit.
I can hardly believe it's real.
That's a good point. They say Trump saying our surrender to these one-sided trade deals, which is totally true, and deindustrialized us and destroyed our morale, and is a huge national security issue, that he's rolling the dice there. No, it would be rolling the dice
with nuclear war? Again, I think you should be in prison for even having that. That's like the craziest thing I can imagine.
Well, remember,
and the 50-50 thing, it has blown my mind, because again, I understand why these globalists, these elites don't care about us as normal people. That I completely get. Makes 100% sense to me. What doesn't make sense is that they still need us to make the world what it is. Their money won't matter. Their power won't matter if they don't have anything to buy or any people to rule over. What plans do they have? Does it come into the transhumanism? Does it come into a secret bunker on Mars? The world may never know.
Again, I think you should be in prison for even having that. That's like the craziest thing I can imagine.
Well, remember Biden just 2 years ago said we can't send F-16s and Abrams tanks because that escalates the threat ladder of the Rand Corporation. That's World War III. But they went ahead and did that. Then they went.
But if you try to fight a tyrannical government, we got F-16s.
Oh, man. And Abrams tanks because that escalates the threat ladder of the Rand Corporation. That's World War III. But they went ahead and did that. Then they went to the bombing inside. So the reason I went back to that, I'm glad you raised it, is the EU is refusing to end the war. We're trying to drag us into it fully. They're arresting their political opposition, Călin Georgescu in Romania. They're not letting him run the new election.
He's an amazing man. I just talked to him.
Amazing.
Day before yesterday.
And then Marine Le Pen, that is super popular in the head presidential polls. So they have a judge find her guilty of nothing and take her off the ballot. You have the State Department under Biden admittedly working in Brazil with Lula to take Bolsonaro off the ballot because he's popular and then indict him. And
as really quick, if you are new here, make sure you are subscribed. I am live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So make sure you ring the bell. I try to drop videos almost every day, not every day, but almost every day. And of course, the stream. So make sure you are subscribed and ring the bell.
They're talking about doing it in Hungary. They're talking about doing it in Poland. They said if AfD won, which they almost did, that the EU Commission might cancel that election. So the EU is really taken off the mask. And people that don't know, it was set up in 56 as a steel deal.
Okay, I'm willing to watch this, but this sounds a little out there. That being said, a lot of things that have sounded out there have come true. I'm just saying on first watch, or first, seeing this sounds a little out there. What? Where do you see 33? What the fuck are you talking about? Are you what's going on with you? Are you okay, bro?
So the EU is really taken off the mask. And people that don't know, it was set up in 56 as a steel deal, Treaty of Rome.
No.
And they got,
well, there you go. If you want to hook up the Freemasons, $33 for some push-ups.
The nations over time to sign away their sovereignty to it. And,
I remember.
And an unelected commission with van der Leyen, up there running all of this. And she even came out, as you know, on Monday and said, well, Trump's blown up the international order. He's defeated the New World Order. And she said, okay, we're going to go ahead and agree, at least in principle, to what Trump is saying. And that's because the trade is completely one-sided. So again, Trump's move isn't just the perfect move. It's perfect in that it's the only moves we have left for us and for global stabilization. That's why anybody that cares about self-preservation for the whole planet should be fully behind Trump's policies.
And why everybody who is not part of that hates Trump.
That are very popular around the world and are seen as sane. And again, the world, this huge alliance of nations, wants to join that team. And
my
the
new
good news
job
is
is
Trump's
calling.
polls are the highest ever. I know the American people are understanding that and getting that. The concern is,
it is kind of crazy that his number. I mean, I'm getting because I live in a rich people world for part of the year. I know a lot of rich people, and boy, they're really upset. And I share their instinctive concern about any chaos. My parents got divorced. I hate chaos, right? So I get that. But from my perspective, I'll just admit it, like on my phone, it's like, I voted for Trump. What the hell's going on? And I get it. I'm not, criticizing anyone. But then his numbers go up.
well, I'd like
It
to
just shows you that you can, even I really make a big effort to like live in different places, know different people, not be a captive of my surroundings, not just live among rich people with like dumb rich people attitudes. I really try to be bigger than that. And I always flatter myself that I succeed. But even I am like, I guess, kind of captive to that, because then I see the numbers and I'm like, people really like this. His numbers went up after the tariffs. That's correct, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, I'd like to talk to folks out there saying Trump is being a destabilizer. The globalist order was collapsing by their own corruption and mismanagement and their alliance with China being double-crossed. And so that old order was already being collapsed by them. And Trump's coming in very pragmatically with a good, fair, freedom-based, meritocracy, competition-based system. But to people that want to talk about destabilization, starting the war with Russia, total destabilization. Dissolving the borders and all the human smuggling and the fentanyl,
Exactly.
total destabilization, in engaging in all this overspending and the country basically being bankrupt if we don't grow our way out of it, total destabilization. And then wink, wink, the attempted assassinations of Trump. What do they think would have happened if Trump really would have gotten killed in Pennsylvania in July of last year or a few months later in Florida? If you look at the
Let's fucking go! New job, starting tomorrow. Don't need to worry about any of those motherfuckers at the old job. Let's go! Let's go! All right. Sorry, I was trying to read along with that. I missed it a little bit, but I'll back it up a little bit, and we'll see what we got. Tucker said, "I try to keep an open mind and not get too involved in the minutia. Anything is possible, and Bill Gates is definitely evil. That I can definitely agree with. Not in a biblical sense. Evil is non-denominational. Again, agreed." Bammy said the Large Hadron Collider is a particle accelerator. It's designed to collide particles and not and shit, but particles together at near speed of light, like mimicking the Big Bang. There's a kid genius. Well, there's lots of adults there, and yeah, they're trying to study the origins of our universe. I mean, we'll see. Thank you, guys. Yes, it is. It's getting tough. The dog training clients are, they're drying up, and they don't seem to be coming back. But your boy is gonna make it. Your boy is gonna make it work.
All the human stuff about destabilization, starting the war with Russia, total destabilization. Dissolving the borders and all the human smuggling and the fentanyl, total destabilization, in engaging in all this overspending and the country basically being bankrupt if we don't grow our way out of it.
That really does sound like what you guys are saying, which is, I mean, not completely out of the realm of possibility, given the fact that we're talking about the start of a universe, but you need a lot more than, well, they're doing stuff, and yeah, and again, I'm willing to look at it, but it's going to need to be more than that.
In engaging in all this overspending and the country basically being bankrupt if we don't grow our way out of it, total destabilization. And then wink, wink, the attempted assassinations of Trump. What do they think would have happened if Trump really would have gotten killed in Pennsylvania in July of last year, or a few months later in Florida? If you look at the scenarios there, they run from bad to worse. So
can y'all speak English? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Destabilization
and bad for the people behind it. Like, clearly those assassinations were not lone gunmen. They were part of a much, much larger conspiracy. Obviously, everyone knows that.
Yep.
But those people behind those attempted murders would have been in bigger trouble had those attempted murders succeeded, correct?
Absolutely. And
well, that's why they have patsies. Because it's people who either don't know that they're going to be the fall guy, or they go in knowing that, I am going to be a martyr for this. Large Hadron Collider et al. Are nonsense science. I mean, again, well, this is going to be, we'll save it for the after party. Because I mean, I've not read a lot, but I've seen a lot from people who are not associated with CERN specifically. We're talking about the work that CERN does. I don't know.
Been in bigger trouble had those attempted murders succeeded, correct?
Absolutely. And if somebody's able to kill Trump now, people better hope he doesn't get struck by a bolt of lightning, because the bad guys will get the blame. And that's why so many people that have kind of been on the fence, the establishment, but we're working with the globalists just because that was the system, are enthusiastically joining
that we could do
Trump and Elon, because they understand that this is the only game in town for people that aren't delusional. But you have that megalomania. And
I think that's so true. Yeah.
You have
megalomania.
Megalomania historically.
Megalomaniac, right? Megalomaniac.
When elites have never lost before and are losing, that they just continue to accelerate and intensify it. And I know
different, but same.
You've covered this. A lot of the people don't seem to know that in August of 2020, I mentioned it earlier, there was a big article in the New York Times with John Podesta covering a war game they just had, that if Trump was able to win, they were going to have blue states secede and blue cities secede, and then create
and then celebrate with some pizza and chicken,
civil unrest and civil war conditions. And then when they knew Trump was going to win, because the poll numbers were so incredible, a few months before the last election last year, Raskin, Carville, Podesta, all of them said civil war conditions. We're going to need to have uprisings. Carville said that. Trump's coming to kill you. We got to rise up, Carville said, and others. And they are clearly escalating.
I roll
with the Tesla attacks and the swatting attacks and the calls for violence. The 55% of liberal Democrats in a study want Trump killed. They are embracing real terrorism, real domestic terrorism, and that's building towards what I believe is in the cards, because you see the Democrat pundits and their operatives everywhere before the election and after it in the last 78 days or so, saying once he got in office, Trump and Tom Homan are going to kill migrants. And when they do, there's going to be an uprising. And well, Trump's not going to go mow down people at an illegal alien demonstration. You also have them saying Trump supporters are going to attack black people. Well, where would black people be alone in big numbers? A church, a university. Trump supporters are going to kill black people. And we know a lot of the globalist groups have been funding white supremacist groups and domestic terror.
Wait, I just want to hear that sentence.
Attack black people, down people at an illegal alien demonstration. You also have them saying Trump supporters are going to attack black people.
A lot of Trump supporters are black people.
Where would black people be alone in big numbers? A church, university. Trump supporters are going to kill black people. And we know a lot of the globalist groups have been funding white supremacist groups and domestic terror groups and basically run them historically. So the last piece with all the pre-programming I've seen is that to have these uprisings, we're going to need something much bigger than George Floyd, much bigger than Jesse Smollett. And so I am predicting on the current trajectory of what they were going before and what they said.
I have seen a bunch of new Mandela effects, but I definitely remember the Ford logo having a little loopy on the F, always.
The final piece they need for this destabilization that they'll label a race-based civil war that will then crash the markets and be used kind of like their predictive programming in the movie that came out last year, Civil War, to have a bunch of states and the main military join them in a military operation to remove Trump when the Trumpian figure in the movie is killed, and executed inside.
Hit the poll.
Inside the Oval Office. And so that's their dream.
Yeah, see this? Subscribe. You're not subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel for Indian man saying your politics. I don't know why I did that with Chinese, but I'm same. I'm also Chinese, so
that's their backup plan. You have the two camps. One camp is kind of the Chucky Schumer, it's completely evil, but isn't particularly publicly pushing that. Though he had his famous whirlwind, we're coming after you speech.
But he's an old man.
Absolutely. So you have the Soros wing with Alexander.
That being said, there is a lot of things where I'm like, no. What was the most recent one that I saw? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there was one. I'm like, no fucking way. And then we're like moving beyond the Berenstain Bears or Berenstain Bears, the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia, which was verified that they did, even though Fruit of the Loom themselves put out an infographic. I wouldn't call it a meme, but I put out a thing. They had all their logos from way back at the beginning of the company. And it never had a cornucopia. But then there was a bunch of people who had old Fruit of the Loom stuff. It's like, there's a fucking cornucopia. People don't just think of cornucopia. Would any of you even know? I personally wouldn't know what a cornucopia was without Fruit of the Loom. So there's definitely some Mandela effects that shit's being fucky. There's some fucking shit. But that's not one of them.
We had famous whirlwind, we're coming after you speech.
But he's an old man. Absolutely.
So you have the Soros wing with Alexander Soros that more and more is in charge and is really making a run at escalating domestic unrest and terrorism, leading into some triggering event, starting things are aligning for this summer. And I know that folks in the government that are patriots are aware of that, but I think that the spokespersons and others need to really get ahead of all this calls for violence and not just repudiate it, but talk about the Democrat leadership and their talking heads that are pushing it. I mean, we've seen Colbert just last week say, deep state, please, do something, stop Trump. And so that's where we are. So they want to expand war to try to take control of the agenda. They've been hyping a new virus being released.
This sounds to me like you're going to put your tits on the stove, scorching the heavies. Breakfast for dinner. I don't know. I don't have more to say that. I don't know.
So they want to expand war to try to take control of the agenda. They've been hyping a new virus being released to try to stop Trump's reboot of our economy because they think that would stop this populist revolution. In Europe, it's arresting their political opposition and stopping elections. And they also have Europe trying to sue Elon Musk and $1 billion fines trying to shut him down. like we saw with Brazil.
50. Oh,
So those
the poll is at 60-40 back to 50-50 back to 60-40. Let's go.
are different strategies. They're also doing big put options and
Only
naked
5
shorts trying to
votes, guys. That's half of you. That's half of you could swing it the entire other direction.
crash the market and then blaming Trump's tariffs on that. So it's economic terrorism, the buildup of domestic terrorism, the false flags that can be used, a nuclear false flag to get us in direct war with Russia, a new viral release. Those are the things they've got set up, ready to go, and that they've said before they would use to maintain control.
The
first thing-
I've never seen any Star Wars except for Mandalorian season 1. Sorry. So we are going to be heading out shortly, but in case we got a little time left on the clock, a little bit of time left on the clock. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our disciple chat for members only, our word of the day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join.
Hello, come and join.
There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. All right, guys. That's where we're headed. We have a little bit more time here in the main party, and then the after party begins.
Check out in countries that descend into darkness. That happens is speech is controlled, and there are political police who put people who speak out against the regime in jail, and that's happening in Brazil, as you know. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Germany.
We're trying it in Canada.
You're just mad because you don't know how, but I'll teach you.
It's definitely happening in Canada, and these were formerly free countries in Australia. And so the one place that it isn't going to happen right now is the United States, because of the First Amendment. So how do you end First Amendment protections? Well, you pick off people like you, which they've been trying to do for over a decade. And, you know, I happen to be, as I've told you many times in private, I happen to be on a fishing trip when I worked at Fox the night that you were taken off the air. And I thought it was like one of the greatest threats of speech in the United States I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, and Fox News like prevented my fill-in host from defending you because Alex Jones is bad. Okay. That's when I realized they were in on it. But they need to end speech in the United States. They need to shut down X. They have to. And my guess is, and I hope I'm wrong.
Let's get one more vote, guys. Let's get one more vote. We're at 60-40. Let's see if one of these wins. Did the Ford logo have the swoop on the F or not? Yes or no?
That there is like legitimate hate and extremism on social media, you know, to the point where it makes me uncomfortable. I'm thinking that maybe a lot of that,
not as much on TikTok. TikTok is the best.
is manufactured, actually. And that if there is a mass shooting, and God forbid, but if there is a mass shooting of the people who've been targeted for hate on actual hate, that's true, on social media, that will be used as a pretext to shut it down.
Absolutely. And
Has this occurred to you?
yes.
I'm not sure. How do you guys feel about that? Let's run it back. The idea that somebody could be like create some type of terroristic event based on what they saw online. And I mean, we'll even help out the example and say they wrote a manifesto and said, this is because I saw this online. Wouldn't that be enough of a pretext to shut down social media at large? I don't know.
I'm thinking that maybe a lot of that is manufactured, actually. And that if there is a mass shooting, and God forbid, but if there is a mass shooting of the people who've been targeted for hate on actual hate, that's true.
So targeted for hate. Mass shooting of people who have been targeted for hate. It's an odd way to phrase this. So a shooting of people who've been targeted, meaning the people who were targeted also get shot, which is a different thing than you were targeted. And then, right? Help me out here, guys. I'm genuinely asking you. I don't really understand what he's saying.
I'm thinking that maybe a lot of that is manufactured, actually, and that if there is a mass shooting, and God forbid, but if there is a mass shooting of the people who've been targeted for hate on actual hate, that's true, on social media, that will be used as a pretext to shut it down.
Absolutely. And
so he's saying absolutely. So we're saying that somebody is going to shoot up a bunch of people they don't like online. I don't think so. I don't agree. Do you? I mean, where are you guys at on that? Well, I guess we can do a new poll because we got that one more vote. And people said no. And you are wrong, but that is okay. It's okay if you're wrong. And we said, like the journalist who doxes people, then getting retaliated against. Okay. So we can use Taylor Lorenz here. So Taylor Lorenz doxes people, then she gets shit online. And then Taylor Lorenz goes and shoots up a bunch of people? Is that the situation that Tucker is talking about? Because I don't see that happening in the first place. I don't know how you would find that. I mean, how are you finding these people who have an anime picture and user _27375221? I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a stretch for that even to happen. He said, no, I'm thinking she's targeted, maybe, is what he's saying. So somebody else, so she doxes somebody. And then because she doxed somebody else then goes to shoot her. We're talking about a mass shooting. So it would have to be a group of people. Again, I'm just trying to play out what exactly the situation he's talking about is saying. So if we go the other direction and we say, okay, Taylor Lorenz doxes libs of TikTok, and then all the libs of TikTok fans are mad, and one of the libs of TikTok fans goes and maybe targets Taylor Lorenz and takes a bunch of people within her physical proximity, maybe? I don't know. Very weird way of phrasing it. But Alex Jones is like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why it's confusing. Maybe Alex will give us some insights.
It's true on social media that will be used as a pretext to shut it down.
Absolutely. And
has this occurred to you?
Yes.
Because I see people on social media who I know for a fact, or I think I know, are being funded by the very people they're attacking.
Funded by the people they're attacking. Okay.
It's like, what? Including
like who or what? What are we talking about?
Funded by the very people they're attacking. It's like, what? Including one of the biggest voices. Like, I know that's true. And so,
okay, but you can't. Come on, man. You can't say that and not put a name. Like, I mean, even if you say, some persona non grata, let's say it's like use a Nick Fuentes as the example so that we can understand who's being targeted and being targeted against, and the targeted person being the shooter or the shooter targeting the people who targeted them. What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
So, like, what is this? And
that's my question.
It's clearly preparatory to some sort of event that will shut down, a violent event that will be used as a pretext to shut down free speech. Am I being paranoid?
I think so, dude. I don't know what you're saying, and I don't fully understand how online stuff could, number one, create that level, because the other way around it would be like, let's go back to saying Taylor Lorenz docs libs of TikTok, and then libs of TikTok fans get mad, and one of them says, okay, I'm holding an event and Taylor Lorenz is going to be here, and then shoots all those people. Other than that, if we're just talking about going to the offices of whatever bullshit company she works for, I guess. But why then would that be, oh, normal people can't have social media? That don't make sense to me. Shout out to Elizabeth Ellington. Welcome to the party. So when Big Soda paid conservative influencers, even though some of them were pro-Maha, Like who? I mean, who was pushing what Maha people were pushing big soda? Again, I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not familiar with this. Shout out to Cheddar Steve over on Rumble. Welcome to the party. That in 2013, Alex swore to us that a giant planet, Nibiru, was coming in from near Pluto to demolish the Earth. He said that Obama was dispatching SOF, Sons of Anarchy, I don't know what SOS. Obama was dispatching SOF to declare martial law for a third term. He's never predicted anything right ever. Well, 9/11's a big one. So, yeah, I mean, he could be wrong about a lot of things, but he definitely predicted 9/11. But welcome to the party, the both of you. Zippy said he is saying those in government can claim the internet is too much for people to handle and thus censor it under the banner of national security. I get what he's saying in terms of the result, that some bad thing will happen and then they use it as a pretext to shut down social media. The bad thing that's happening is what I don't understand, the situation that I don't understand that he's laying out. And I'm trying to figure out a situation where politically that would be advantageous, because as much as the left is anti-gun, they're not going to give up TikTok and Twitter and YouTube just because, oh, well, somebody got shot, so clearly we can't have social media anymore. What? Like that. Oh, hell no. That ain't happening. That would be political suicide. He said, well, what scenario will they use feasibly is the point. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. They're saying, they're both like, yeah, this is the situation. What the fuck situation are you talking about? I don't get it. Shout out to Avery. Welcome to the party. The news today. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to the news today specifically. I watched some other stuff, but this is from last week, and apparently Tucker and Alex think that somebody is going to use the internet to do a mass shooting on people who gave them shit on the internet, and then the government is going to use that as a pretext to shut down social media.
Sort of event that will shut down, a violent event that will be used as a pretext to shut down free speech. Am I being paranoid?
Okay, shut down free speech is a different thing than shut down social media. Because I can say, because again, the big thing there was the left is, just because the left has different politics than us doesn't mean that they're not as addicted, if not more addicted to social media. I mean, I'm probably way more addicted to social media than a lot of you guys, but point being, that's a bipartisan thing of being addicted to social media. And so any politician who's going to say that bad thing happened, and so the only way to fix it is for you, the person who didn't do anything wrong, to give up TikTok and Twitter and YouTube and Snapchat and all of these things. But free speech, that's a smaller step. Because I was like, okay, now we have all of these, we're adding all these rules to the terms of service and stuff like that. That makes a lot more sense. I still don't necessarily think that it is, directly connected like that, because again, the situation or the scenario that he's giving, I don't know if I buy into. But I will say, if that scenario were to come to pass, then I can see it being a pretense to shut down free speech, not social media. So he said, remember, 2A is not enforced and 1A is weakening, so they can control what's posted and monitor you. Yeah, that changes the discussion a lot. Shutting down free speech as opposed to shutting down social media. Because we already have nothing close to free speech on social media. I mean, X has gotten better with that, but if I'm being honest, it kind of made the platform worse. I appreciate the notion, and I would like to move past this area where people are just shitposting to shitpost / replying just to get replies. But I think that's a responsibility that we as a people, it's a new thing. Oh, I can say whatever I want. And people are just taking it to the max. So I think that's gonna flatten out. But right now, it's just not fun to be on Twitter. TikTok, however. Amanda said, Carney, our temporary prime minister, is working hard on shutting down free speech. Yeah, I don't know if Liberty Plus TV is still here, but I put up a community tab post about, if you got pulled over drunk driving, and you're even if you, like, hypothetically, if you don't do this, then it's, but you're driving, you're drunk, you get pulled over, you're drunk. I asked the question, would it be better to go through the field sobriety test and, those being played in court, potentially either showing that you mess up or just, lawyers twisting around. See, I was leg moved there or something like that, or refuse and then plead your case in court. And Liberty Plus TV was saying that in Canada, where he lives, that you can get arrested for DUI or something to the same effect 2 hours after you get home. So if you get home from work, you need to wait 2 hours to drink. Because if they come by and you're drunk within 2 hours of being behind the wheel, you're fucked. Now, I don't know exactly where in Canada this is, or I'm just repeating what Liberty Plus TV said, but wild. Cheddar Steve said, we got that one. Obviously they took, do we get this one? Obviously they took out the planet with the help of the space aliens. Okay. Cheddar Steve said Jones was ripping off Bill Cooper on 9/11. Not even an original thought. Okay, well, good job on ripping off people who knew what the fuck was going to happen. I don't think he ever claimed to be like, wait a minute, I just had a thought. Maybe, just maybe, there's a bunch of people who are doing this, that, and that. His claim was always, look, they planned this, and I can prove it to you because they're telling us that they planned it. Sound like a hater, Cheddar Steve. You are sounding like a hater. This is why I'm selling my house and moving to the woods. Good luck. I need AC and Wi-Fi, please. I missed this one here. Guantex said, speaking of RFK endorsed the MMR vaccine. I really just wish he would have went about it in a different way. Maybe advocate, but still make it a big deal that we're still researching it. And see, that's another thing I did not know. And again, there's always going to be concessions that need to be made in the political realm. It's which concessions that you make really matter. Zibby said they can implement total control over speech via national security claims. Right. That's why that makes a lot more sense that they don't have to shut down social media. They can just tamp down on the free speech. And I said, I've never heard of this. I'll say shit. Me too.
Some sort of event that will shut down, a violent event that will be used as a pretext to shut down free speech. Am I being paranoid?
No, that's where all the foundation's been laid. Actually, the superstructure has been built.
Yeah.
They're just putting the finishing touches on it. And so in a way, it's fortuitous that I'm here today because you were here. I was talking to my lawyer right before we started taping. We got some really big news that in Connecticut, the Supreme Court said we're not even hearing your appeal now because it was so strong. The kangaroo show trial that I went through there a few years ago, where the judge already found me guilty.
Guilty of what? Of having an unauthorized opinion, of being mean or whatever? Well, those are all legal under the U.S. Constitution. Like, you cannot be...
I mean, technically they are, but here we are, right? Here we are. And I don't want to pick on you, Cheddar Steve, but going back to what you said, that Jones is ripping off Bill Cooper. Like, okay, cool. Shout out to Bill Cooper. But were you ripping off Bill Cooper? Were you warning people about an impending attack? Because Alex was. So whether he thought of it on his own or he was ripping somebody off, if somebody had listened, then thousands of people and the entire way that we view travel and safety in our country would not have changed forever. I'll call that a win for Alex Jones. Context. So the good news is RFK also said we should be getting the true cause of autism by September. I'll take the wins where I can get them. That's a big one. That's a big one. If he said that specifically, the true cause of autism by September. I would like to see that. He said, do kids still get chicken pox? My kid didn't. You're asking the wrong person. Elizabeth said there was no reason for him to concede on MMR either, because then he immediately did an interview saying that second child died from measles, really was already battling other things. So I'm not familiar with this particular quote. So what was the context that they were like, look, this kid died, and he was like, okay, maybe the MMR vaccine could have helped, but also he had this. Is that am I gathering what you guys are saying? Maybe so the cause of autism is largely the mother's health during pregnancy. I don't know what other factors contribute. Metal in the bloodstream, mercury. Context says measles hysteria is friggin' ridiculous. Fear-mongering at its peak. Another coof moment. Elizabeth said they also need to stop promising things and just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Shout out to Shia. Live up. It gives people false hope, just like with with Pam Bondi and the Epstein files. Completely agree. Like, if you got it, just give it to us. We're like, hey guys, in 1 week, we're going to be doing this. In 7 months, we're going to be doing this. There we go. Working up here, baby. Wah, 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 wah. I was going to skip over that, but anyway. All right, guys, we are past the 3-hour mark, so
opinion of being mean or whatever. Those are all legal under the U.S. Constitution. Like, you cannot be punished for giving your opinion. I don't care how ugly other people think it is, and you've contested whether you even gave that opinion. But it doesn't matter. Under our system, you're allowed to say what you think. Period.
Well, you're right, especially
that's what the Bill of Rights is.
And we have the Supreme Court rulings with the New York Times Sullivan.
Insane.
And
Brandenburg versus Ohio. You have a right to your opinion.
And what they did was, with all these PR firms and massive thousands of articles, sometimes a month, and hundreds of TV programs a year, they built a straw man once I was censored off the internet in the last 7 years. Still on my website, InfoWars.com, still on some talk radio, but it was the verboten thing. People had to go, get underground. They could then build a straw man of things I had supposedly done I never did. And then when I wasn't defended, other than people like you, it set the precedent to then come after everybody else, including President Trump, when he was taking off everything on January 6th. So people couldn't hear him saying be peaceful before, during,
I defended black.
So kind of a mixture of an actual developmental disorder and pop culture, kind of like the transes. So there have been studies. Half of us adults don't have a functioning metabolic system, insulin resistance, and other things. Then mothers don't get diagnosed as preeclampsia or pre-diabetic. That definitely makes a lot of sense, because I'll remind you guys that I went to school. What the fuck is this? Avery, I got you. Give me 1 second. Avery just got member permissions. There you go, Avery. You are good for the after party and the full Discord server. So I went to school for psychology, and they talked about how the MMR vaccine definitely isn't the cause of autism, and it's just the age of diagnosis, and there's just an overlap, and people don't know any better, and anti-vaxxers are bad and stupid, and but never, ever did they have anything towards the notion of, well, this is what could cause autism. So, yep.
Nationalists who hate
6, so people couldn't hear him saying be peaceful before, during,
I defended black nationalists who hate whites. Obviously don't agree with them. I am white. So are my kids. Like, I reject their program. But they were indicted for giving their opinions. And we cannot allow that. And now the ACLU is just completely captured. It's like a tranny organization. Nothing to do with free speech. Like, where are the people who will stand up for the foundational right that separates a free man from a slave, which is the right to say what you think? And why were they all
put a one in the chat if you would stand up for what makes a person and not a slave?
It separates a free man from a slave, which is the right to
put a one in the chat if you hate what people will say, but you will die for their right to say it.
Say what you think. And why were they also, may they bask in shame for not defending you. I mean that.
Well, I have a major update. It's in the last 7 years of them suing me and this whole saga, we now have basically all the pieces of exactly what happened. I told you some about it last night. It would take a few minutes, but I could just give people a basic summation of what's happened.
Yeah, please.
But first, just an example of free speech. In Texas, there's...
Hey, shout out to Davon. Welcome to the party, brother. I did get your email. It's been a busy weekend. I have not been able to get back to you, but I definitely will. Said Tucker would absolutely not. Absolutely not what? What did I say? I forgot what I said. Do we not what? I'm stupid sometimes. Remind me. What can I just say? Tykav said bullshit about the mother's help. There's a tremendous amount of heritability, you noobs. All right, fair enough. We got a one from Avery there. Bambi said even Alzheimer's is being called type 3 diabetes? What? Really? Interesting. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'll agree with you there. There's a limit to everybody, and he will say it, but we've seen that people at the top of this industry across the board are not really who they say they are. I mean, honestly, except for Alex Jones, most people have such much more of a persona and their person than I personally would like. Elizabeth said, in nursing school, they told me autism is because they got better at identifying it. Yep, same thing. Well, now we just know what to look for. That's why there's so much more autism. Zibby said, yeah, well, we got that. Hell yeah, my true patriots. Dilly, if you are a true patriot, either side of the aisle. Elizabeth said, imagine your kid developing autism and then the medical field tells you you're crazy for suggesting it caused your child's autism. Welcome to America. And then, yeah, Tucker would not die for someone's right to defend. I mean, I think he would go decently far. I don't know if he would die. You know what? I don't know if I would die either. I think I would. I would like to believe I would. But die? For you to be able to call me a racist and a transphobe? That person certainly wouldn't die for my right to, accurately gender them. So maybe I wouldn't. But with specific exceptions, because of people who have already demonstrated that they don't respect free speech and they don't respect my speech in general, then fuck you. But anyone else, whether you're saying something that I like or what I don't like, I'll have that for you. Amanda's gotta take off. All right, you have a good one. Yeah, I thought I got to sleep in tomorrow, but they were like, coming at 11 a.m. I'm like, Jesus, fuck. All right, I guess I'm starting tomorrow, baby. And I have a client, so I got to get all that done and then go to my client. Making shit happen. Anyphil said, free speech is for those who support free speech. That's where, this notion has changed a little bit. Because we've seen when other people who are politically against us have had the power, they would not support free speech. So, on the one hand, it's not about, well, you did it, so my principles are my principles. But if it's coming down to my actual death on your behalf to say something that you would not even verbally defend me, maybe I wouldn't. All right, let's dive back in and maybe finish this up.
A basic summation of what's happened.
Yeah, please.
But first, just an example of free speech. In Texas, there's famous cases where they take people's small children because the school secretly convinces them.
Whoa. I missed out on Zippy with the $1. Thank you. Making sure we know that he is learning disabled and in the spec from the 80s. Diagnosis of half of it, Munchausen by proxy, the medical industry, and another huge factor is parents cannot parent anymore. Indeed, you are right, sir. And of course, every donation treats for Morty. Thank you, sir. Where does that leave us? So we have 15, 25, 30, 31, 2, $33, guys. $17. And you're making me do push-ups. $17. 3 of you could do that with less than a...
In Texas, there's famous cases where they take people's small children because the school secretly convinces them with grant money, they get paid for it, public and private, that a little boy's really a girl, a little girl's really a boy. Then the parents find out the school's been putting them in a database, giving them a social worker, sending them to special school times with peer pressure of other kids that have been put in a cult for sterilization, transhumanism. And then they take the person's child, saying it's abuse, when you argue, my son is really a boy, not a girl.
And for a good period of time, this notion of, they're going to take your kids away. We didn't have enough clear examples of, no, they legit will just take your kid away. We had to see it. Unfortunately, we had to see it. And even still, there will be people who will deny that parents have literally lost custody of their children because they wouldn't trans them. Now, I don't know how you could be in favor of that. I don't understand that. But shout out to Budge, a trans woman who is in where am I? Shout out to Budge, a trans woman who is in our Discord, born male, but identifies as a female, but is all about Trump and MAGA and interested in a discussion about that. And I've, related to Budge in the sense that, we're both kind of outsiders as far as the right wing goes, where I'm an atheist and Budge is trans. Certainly not exactly the same thing, because I can hide it. I can hide it pretty easy. But, willing to have that discussion. But I wonder, how far does that actually go? And how much of it is, and I'm not saying Budge specifically, but just trans stuff in general, how much of it is just wanting special treatment? I don't know. But we got Indie Boom with another $5. What is this? Why are you making a mess? You're making a mess. Oh my goodness. Thank you, sir. Very, very, very much appreciated. And I think I'll do the math. We might have a new sponsor. I will let you know.
And then they take the person's child, saying it's abuse, when you argue, my son is really a boy, not a girl. Well, now Colorado in the House, as you know, just passed the bill. It's in the Senate, and they allowed no debate, saying that if a parent...
Yes, co-sponsor Indie Film. Thank you. Co-sponsoring this stream with our boy TB Viewerski. Thank you so very, very much.
The bill, it's in the Senate, and they allowed no debate, saying that if a parent finds out their kid is being brainwashed and says, no, my son is a boy, my girl's a girl, that is abuse, and they're going to officially take your child. Yep. Other states have passed laws like Oregon and Washington. So you talk about free speech. This is beyond that. This is parental rights. This is everything. Now say parents can't argue and say to the state that has determined that your child's other sex. And then in places like New Jersey and other states, the hospital systems now have on the form when your child's born dozens of things, transgender, all these other names, gender queer, all these things where the parents pick at birth what the baby's going to be and say this. So if the state wants to come and say they're another sex, that's okay. If parents don't like it, their kid gets taken in these areas. That's where this is going. It's already happening. But if the parents want to opt in, they can decide for their child. So as long as you decide that we're going to chemically and then medically sterilize surgery.
It only goes in one direction. If you decide your kid is trans, then your kid is trans. If your child decides that they are trans, your kid is trans. That's not how that's supposed to work in either direction.
Surgically, this poor little person is being put into this death cult, then it's okay. The only thing you're not allowed to say is no. I say no to this designation. So that's where Alex Jones having his speech massively attacked goes. So it's a long story, but here's the summation. I didn't understand, even though I know a lot of things about politics in the world, I didn't understand how PR firms work, how law firms work, how the deep state was operating. And they later admitted, even on MSNBC, that a few years ago, oh, we've been successful with Alex Jones. Next, we're going to do it with people like Tucker Carlson.
Yikes. So Benny said nonverbal kids is not due to bad parents. They never speak a word by the time they're a year old. So I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't catch everything, but I don't believe anybody was saying that bad parenting causes nonverbal kids. I think the claim was that the health and behavior of the mother while she's pregnant would have to do with those types of things. Which again, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I think that was what was being presented. Not that if you are not a good parent, once they're born, then they may not speak. I don't think that was the claim. So I think that was maybe Zippy, if you want to correct me or what are we doing? Ty said modified ketogenesis has remedied nonverbal autism. You say, yeah, because high-fat, low-carb diet helped insulin resistance, which then helps other metabolic factors. Helps narcolepsy and epilepsy, too. It's a travesty. It's a fucking travesty how little doctors actually have to train in nutrition. It's literally like a 101 course in pre-med. Okay, maybe not literally. I don't know exactly. But it's something that very low of a degree. And like, many of you guys know, my dad is a doctor. And my mom went to school. I believe she got a master's in nutrition. Dad didn't know shit. Didn't know shit about nutrition. I mean, obviously the basics from being a fucking doctor. But as far as nutrition itself, he just was never taught that. He cuts people open and uses lasers on their veins. Crazy.
BC that a few years ago, oh, we've been successful with Alex Jones. Next, we're going to do it with people like Tucker Carlson. And they mentioned you. So Hillary knows she's in trouble. 2 months before the election, 2016, she does a $20+ million ad buy talking about me and twisting what I had said about that event in Connecticut, that mass shooting. And then the ad, she says, Alex Jones is Trump's brain. This is the guy that Trump says is an amazing person. We'll be talking a lot. You're a great guy. And they show that clip of Trump on my show saying that. So they created a demonized version of me to attack Trump. Then that made me this huge demon with the left even more.
Shout out to Ozempic.
Then for 2 years, articles every day, sometimes dozens a day, TV shows, programs, PBS, CNN, MSNBC, every channel, foreign news, Tokyo news, Russian news. It was being pushed over. Alex Jones is bullying kids, parents of dead kids. Alex Jones is sending people to pee on graves. None of that ever even happened, much less me. And then they sue me, and then they want all this discovery, and they say, who do you work for? Who's telling you what to do in the Republicans in all these depositions?
Who does number 2 work for? There's your awesome power.
Of course, it wasn't there. So they hold me in default for saying I didn't give them my secret plan to get rich off these people that I barely ever even talked about. They put 22 minutes of evidence in the Texas show trial where I was found guilty by the judge and the Connecticut show trial that were only a month apart in 2022 in the fall. So I go in, HBO's producing it, cameras, putting makeup on the judges. I'm given 20+ things I can't talk about. My lawyers are sanctioned if they try to raise that. Well, where did Alex Jones say this? Where did he do this? No evidence could be showed to counter them. They could just say whatever they wanted to. And then they have a $1.5 billion judgment in Connecticut. They have a $50 million judgment total, or $49 million in Texas, because I'm already found guilty. Then the judge tells them to say how guilty I am. They lie and totally exaggerate all the money I have, say I got it from these people with no evidence. And so I knew I was being railroaded for my speech. They said in the Connecticut trial and in the Texas show trial and on the courthouse steps, we don't want money from Mr. Jones. We want to shut him down. They said that in court filings. So I go into bankruptcy because I'm out of money personally, never had all this money, they said, not even a fraction of it. And so for 3 years, I'm in bankruptcy. And they keep going and say, we don't want money. We want him closed. The judge keeps saying, no, you have to actually, do a settlement with him, or we have to sell InfoWars.
This is all because you said something that other people said they were offended by?
Yes, but
how can you, I don't understand in a free country how other people being offended by what you say can have you destroyed by the state.
Well, it's more
consequences because I mean, I don't understand it in terms of the legality. We obviously and clearly, certainly understand it in terms of practicality and how it plays out. Baby said, my sister's a nurse practitioner and she's very knowledgeable on nutrition. It's been her focus, and I have an Epsi. So she helps manage it to get off meds. So I mean, yeah, obviously it's not that everybody in healthcare doesn't know shit about shit. What I'm saying is the specific training that is required to become a doctor specifically doesn't focus a lot on nutrition. Hey, there we go. Starting us off. 8 more and I'm on the floor. Indie film, no question, no comment. Just pure love of the puppy. Love of the game. 8 more and I'm on the floor. Thank you so very, very much, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream, the sole sponsor of the stream, knocking TV viewerski right out of there. Gonzak said, my doctor acted surprised when I asked him what to eat and do differently to help my help high blood pressure because I didn't want a prescription. He's like, oh, most people don't usually ask that. Yep. So autism used to be caused by a cold mother. I mean, maybe tendencies, but I don't know. So I started on one pill, then 15 one pill. Then in 15 years, they had me on 4 pills, and the date great drug at night. What? Like you're roofing yourself to sleep? Doctors. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's finish up this chapter. Maybe do some push-ups and head to the after party. We got a bunch of stuff that we're going to be going over. So if you haven't joined, make sure you join. And of course, gifted memberships also count towards the goal.
Being offended by what you say can have you destroyed by the state.
Well, it's more than that. They said I sent people to their houses. I peed on graves. What? All this stuff that nobody did.
Why weren't you arrested? You can't pee on a grave. Why weren't you arrested
in Connecticut?
Why weren't you arrested for peeing on the grave?
Out of the people that sued me, I only said the name of one of the people ever.
If you commit a crime, you should be criminally charged for it, and the state has to.
Holy shit! What is all this? Oh God! What is all this? What do I do? Oh, okay, can I? Okay. Whoopsies! Sorry. Okay. Trying to get Indie Film as our sole sponsor with that $12. Big baller. Thank you. Again.
Me, I only said the name of one of the people ever.
If you commit a crime, you should be criminally charged for it, and the state has to prove that you did it, at which point you're convicted and punished. If the state accuses you of something but doesn't charge you with it, they're fucking liars. Like, by definition, they don't, that's not on the list of options that they can just discredit you, attack your character, destroy you. No. The state has one option. If you committed a crime, they charge you with the crime and they prove you did the crime. It's that simple.
That's right. And I never got investigated for stalking or anything because I did nothing.
For any crime.
So
you need some weed. That's nature's miracle.
So here's where it gets crazy. Here's what we've learned since they had the show trials.
I noticed none of the libertarians defended you either. Where was the Reason Foundation and Cato and all these supposedly freedom-minded nonprofits who are just freaking liars?
Shout out to the Mises Caucus, who was definitely behind Alex. Talking about Angela McArdle and Dave Smith and co.
Like, none of them defended you that I know of.
bare minimum, they were bought off or they wanted to keep their head down. So here's what we learned. The Democratic Party and the Justice Department, the FBI, and the CIA, this has come out in court, come out in documents now. We've got it all. I published it at InfoWars. They can be shut down literally in days now. We're finally to the wire today with this big ruling. But it's the truth's out there, but they don't want you to know it. So they come after me to demonize Trump. Then they run ads on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere for the 2 years before they sue me, 2017, 2018, saying I'm attacking him, saying I'm coming after him, using my name to raise money. Okay, it turns out hundreds of millions using my name. This has come out. Saying I'm victimizing him and then never showing what I supposedly did. Just this man's hurting us, help us, help us. Then I was already taken off the internet after that for other reasons.
Members, do me a favor, check Disciple chat real quick.
That they cooked up. They had Lester Holt get up on TV and say, Alex Jones called for people to get battle rifles and go attack Democrats. No, I talked about them, the Antifa attack.
An emoji will be fine.
In your house. And how they were planning to attack more people's houses. And I said, none of us are going to be violent. But I said, everybody needs to have their battle rifle ready or their shotgun in their home if the left comes to kill you.
Well, as someone whose house was attacked by Antifa, I agree completely.
But then Holt...
That's why I got to get out of Jersey. So I got to be strapped.
Never showed what I supposedly said.
Right.
He just said straight up. Okay, so I wasn't even taken off the internet for Sandy Hook because I wasn't even known for that. Okay, barely ever talked about it. Then they sue me. Then they run more PR. Then they raise more money off of me. And then when they didn't find anything in their all their discovery, because there was nothing that I did, then they have the judges both find me in default, coordinate for both trials to be held in a month and a half period in late 2022. And then right after they win, the jury's fined for all this money, they come back and they say, that's not enough, Your Honor. We want 2.75 trillion. That's the GDP of India. People don't believe that. Just type in Alex Jones, Sandy Hook, 2.75 trillion. And so the judge said, no, you just get 1.5 billion.
In retrospect, did you ever think when...
That was pretty public knowledge. I mean, like by now, we all know that. We believe you, bro.
When they awarded a judgment against you equivalent to the GDP of India, did you ever think like, maybe I should keep my visions to myself and not, like next time I see 9/11 coming, I just shouldn't say anything?
No, because that is what makes the difference between people who are willing to, as they say, atrocities can happen when good men do nothing. And so we've seen people like Alex Jones, people like Trump. They could have bowed out of this whole fucking thing a long time ago. But they know what's good here. And they believe in what they're doing. Whether they're right about everything or wrong about everything or somewhere in between, there's not a lot of people like that left.
I should keep my visions to myself and not, like next time I see 9/11 coming, I just shouldn't say anything because people who predict the future accurately are always punished for it.
I think that's, I mean, yeah, I mean, well, what I realized was I've got something important to say, so I better say it even louder because the evil wants this shut down. But just to finish the key part, I'm telling you.
Sorry.
No.
It's making me upset hearing this.
No. I'm saying I haven't gotten to the big stuff. I'm just giving people the background.
This is not the country I grew up in at all.
He hasn't gotten to the big stuff? What's bigger than 9/11 and nuclear war and transhumanism? Nothing I want to know about. Nothing I want to know about. Shout out to CT223. Welcome to the party. Guys, answer me and just or put a one in the chat if you are interested, if you're going to come to the after party tonight. I'm done. This drink is done. And I'll open another one if we're going to be in the after party. But if y'all are going to dip out, then I'm not going to open another one. So put a one in the chat if you're going to the after party. Welcome, CT223. Tycop says Zolpidem is one of the best date great drugs. Benzodiazepine ring with a Benadryl backup. Yikes. You gotta get that that nail polish that you dip it in your drink and it turns colors if you've if there's something shifty in there. All right, CT telling me to open a drink. I better see you guys there. I'm gonna be pissed. If I have to leave this just open. It'll be cold next time, but we never waste alcohol, obviously. All right, we're almost here at the end of this chapter.
Hearing this.
No. I'm saying I haven't gotten to the big stuff. I'm just giving people back.
And don't forget about the push-ups.
This is not the country I grew up in at all. Just saying that. Sorry.
Well, no, you're right. Thank you for the platform. No, thank you, Tucker. And I told you all this last night. It took 30 minutes. Let me just try to condense it. So I know they're trying to demonize me to get at Trump. I know they're trying to set the precedent to shut down everybody else. And once I'm demonized, they think nobody will defend me, and that sets the precedent. They admitted all that. Then when they win the show trial that was already fixed, these PR firms come out of New York and Connecticut and go, we've been doing this for years. We exposed Jones. We did this. We helped get this big win, blah, blah, blah. Then this undercover video comes out that is in a predator sexting trolling operation in D.C., which the guy was never implicated in, but that's how he got caught up in the trolling operation. This Globalist person, CIA and FBI, it's confirmed, says, well, we investigated.
I could shout out to the caption. She's like, CIA and FBI. I was like, what is that? I have never heard of that agency. The CIA and FBI?
CIA and FBI.
Sounds like it.
It's confirmed. Says, well, we investigated Alex Jones for years at the FBI. Then he went on to the CIA, to where he's currently. And he said, we couldn't find anything criminal on him. So we went to the Sandy Hook people with law firms and we developed this plan with this narrative to take him down. And now we're in the process of shutting him down. And the person says, well, are you still trying to put him in prison? No, we've just destroyed his name and destroyed who he is. You know, it's all on video. It's online. Just type in FBI, CIA agent, admits to running Sandy Hook frame job of Alex Jones.
Just to kind of refresh our baseline assumptions here, is the CIA allowed to destroy people in the United States for criticizing?
No, it's illegal.
Allowed is a weird word when it comes to the deep state. Of course, they're not allowed, but they're allowed. Clearly.
Assumptions here.
Is the CIA allowed to destroy people in the United States for criticizing?
No, it's illegal.
Oh, it's illegal. Okay.
Of course, begging the question, but absolutely. So then we have that. But then I go, wait a minute. At the trial last year, they have this FBI agent who was the chief counsel, who on the stand, they say it to hide it in plain view. The Democrat Party law firm talked to him for like a day. And he goes, so you went and got the suit against Mr. Jones? Yes, I went to your law firm, Mr. Koskoff, and I went to the families, and I organized them to do this. So they're hiding in plain view the chief counsel of Connecticut.
That's exactly what I mean. They're not allowed to do anything yet. They do. So in one respect, it may be illegal, but they can do it without consequence. Sounds like allowed fits.
That I didn't even pick up on at the time. Why is he on the stand? I'm sitting there talking about how he went and set this up and did this to me. And then later we have Globalist talking about years ago, we criminally investigated him for a decade. We couldn't find anything. So we went into this civilly. So now that's two of them admitting it on the stand and undercover video. Now this is where it gets wild. Then
shout out to Cobb. You have a good one.
3 days after Trump's in office, we done a FOIA request 2 years ago for my FBI file. We done it many times. They never responded back. As soon as Trump gets in, they send us a disc in the mail. I got a call from the FBI saying, hey, be sure you watch your mail.
A disc?
And they send me a disc of our FOIA, and it was 196 files, but it was just the cover sheets. It said the rest of national security, but it said Alex Jones, top national security threat. Obama administration ordered me to be a level 3 terror national security threat in 2013. I had Kyle Seraphin on, who knows how to read the code documents on the dozens of pages I got that were attached. He said probably to thousands, but 196 other investigation packets. And we're talking weekly and monthly meetings out of the Boston field office. And Trump didn't learn about this his first admin. So we learned this was going on until I was sent this by the new FBI director, okay, or the new FBI. And it's just the cover sheets, but they have codes on it that Kyle Seraphin used to run counterterrorism in the FBI, huge whistleblower, came on my show for hours and documented what it meant. Then he talked to his sources currently in D.C., and they said, yeah, we're actually on this. It's bad. Okay. So Obama illegally had me declared a national security threat, open criminal espionage.
Oh, you lucky sons of bitches. I let it go into the next chapter. It's a short chapter.
Investigation with huge resources. HUMET, attempted infiltration. That's all the codes. And that's now makes sense. People we hire trying to set us up, trying to get us to commit crimes. All this stuff over the years, hacking into our surveillance camera systems, trying to find something dirty, all sorts of sabotage. So now, I'm living in a spy movie. So we get that like 10 days in the Trump administration. 3 days in, they mail it. It comes to the mail like 7 days later. So now we have that. So we have Globalist admitting it from the FBI and CIA. We have the other lead counsel in Connecticut admitting it on the stand. Proud of it. I didn't plain view, just because they knew it would come out. Then we get another.
He's getting going now. I'm going to slow him down a little bit.
FBI contact. They say, why don't you go look at the Federal Register and look for money going to these Sandy Hook foundations of the people that sued me. We go, look, it's $4 million plus in payments to them right after they sue me, and then 2 payments to them during when both trials started. So one
payments from whom?
From the Justice Department.
Did not know that.
So tax dollars?
Tax dollars, over $4 million from the Justice Department, were paid to the main Sandy Hook foundation that is on the board at the head of it for the people suing me that ran it.
This is crazy.
So now we have the Justice Department, and I'm releasing those documents. I was actually planning to release them today.
I'll fucking take it. I'll take that shit. Context it. Man, if there is one person I have major sympathy for, it's Alex. Dude has been through so much and continues to stay dedicated to weeding out the corruption. No wonder he went a little crazy. Yeah, I think that is absolutely fair.
A week ago before you invited me out here. So that's all going to be out today. The documents, all of it, but it's online. They don't hide it. Also, millions and millions and millions more of COVID money went to them. And you know what happened to Cori Bush's husband. I'm not saying it's illegal. It should be looked into. So this is why this is important. This is the most open and shut, start to finish operation we've ever seen, with all this money directly from the Justice Department, with the Justice Department admitting they initiated it undercover tapes with the CIA. Then you have the FBI admitting on the stand that they initiated it. Then you have the money directly from the Justice Department to them directly when they're attacking me. And then it gets worse. In the last year in my bankruptcy, before that, they attached a U.S. trustee, which they do under federal law, to my bankruptcy, like I'm Enron. Most people don't have this happen. So there's Justice Department lawyers and agents at my depositions giving me U.S. code to read before the deposition. After I'm sworn in, that if I say anything incorrect, they're going to charge me with felonies. Okay. But I still don't defend. I've done nothing wrong, and I have accountants, and it's all lies. They're alleging I've stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from these people. None of that's true. I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. I never had $10 million of extra laying around.
What, you stole money from what people?
They just say I harassed them. I made money off them. It's their money. It's just all made up. But I have the Justice Department there. So then the Justice Department.
So is there any, let's stop there and take the politics out of it and see if there is a reasonable way to say, okay, you're using our likeness. Is that was that their response? You're using our likeness to make money, and we didn't give you that permission, and so that's our money. Is that the long and short of their fucking argument? Because that's not how that works. It's called the news. I'm just going to clip of Jimmy Dore spitting in his face. Broke my heart. He was so focused on the corruption, he barely called it out or paid attention. So dedicated, he didn't even fight against literal assault. I have not seen that. When did Jimmy Dore? Really? Jimmy Dore. There was something I always knew that, like, Jimmy Dore, he's it's good that he exists, but he's never been my cup of tea. You're good now, though. Alex even made a joke about it on his show. Jim's the only the second guy to spit in his mouth. Yuck.
Department has the U.S. trustee in May of last year order a private security company on a Friday evening to show up with guns on their sides and say, everybody out of the building. And I say, where's the court order? And I say, call the head of your security company. I get on the phone. He goes, hey, I'm telling the people this too. We got to have a court order. I'm going to tell them
They showed up at your office?
They showed up at my office.
With guns?
Armed security, yes.
Yeah.
And so I call my lawyers. They don't even believe it's happening. We get a hearing, and the judge blocks it. Then he has a full evidentiary hearing June 14th. Fires the U.S. trustee, removes them, removes the CRO that did it, okay, in the bankruptcy, and then appoints a new one who comes in to be all buddy-buddy. Then he says, okay, we want to sell it. And then that way proceeds have sold InfoWars. But then we have buyers that are good that'll keep it going. The Sandy Hook family's really Democratic Party says, we don't want money in court filings. We want it shut down. The judge says, no, you will sell it at an auction, but cash auction. Then they have a auction date set the day before. They say that's canceled. It'll be private bids turned in on that Monday. And then the next day we will tell you who the winner is. Well, then it was the Bloomberg financing, his Everytown group, The Onion. Everybody heard The Onion had gotten InfoWars. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Back in November. So all that happened. So we countersue. The judge has hearings on December 9th and 10th, says there was never an auction. It was fraudulent. You guys need to settle this, and you need to get money for Mr. Jones's buyers, and it needs to stop. They come back to the judge 3 times and say, we don't want money. We don't ever want it sold. We want it shut down. So the judge said about a month ago.
As an outsider, or not if I'm taking the perspective of, hey, our kids really died, and you're making a mockery out of this. I don't want money. I just want you to stop what you do. I can see that perspective. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. He has the documents.
He said, okay, I'm done. This has gone on 3 years. Take it to state court. The state court is Judge Bellis that did the show trial with HBO. That's Judge Ware Gamble in Texas. It's Judge, that's the other judge in Connecticut. So it's Judge Ware Gamble, just like Judge Bellis running the show trial, found me guilty. She has said as soon as she gets that, she's going to send in the constables from the county and just close the doors, lock it, because they don't want the money that it can produce. They don't want any of that. They want it shut down.
Can I just ask you a reality-based question here? So all of this stems...
Sorry, that's such a long story.
No. It's
That was pretty concise for everything that he said. I mean, whoever's saying he got Jordan Peterson in his mind, not for that part. Not for that part. Because that was a lot of information in a relatively few words.
It's a shocking story, but I just don't want to lose the baseline.
And it's never been told in full.
The baseline facts. Okay.
So Tucker, shut the fuck up. No, I'm just kidding.
So all of this stems from a school shooting in Connecticut.
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Damn, it was that long
You
ago?
suggested on air that there was something weird about this.
I covered other people saying.
Weird.
Correct. You did not commit the school shooting.
No, Adam Lanza did.
Adam Lanza did.
And I said for years, I believe it happened before they sued me.
Right. So we spent approximately zero time and zero money as a country trying to figure out why would Adam Lanza murder all these children? We're all against murdering children. Some of us are against murdering all children, including in foreign countries and here in abortion clinics, just against murdering kids. Okay. So I'm not going to see the moral high ground on kids to ghouls like this. So, okay. But we have no idea why Adam Lanza did this. No one's trying to find out. You instead are being blamed, or the father of 4 kids, for the murder of all these kids when you had literally nothing to do with the murder at all. And the actual murderer is probably brain fried and SSRIs or whatever the cause. Like, no one cares.
That's right. He was on SSRIs, like almost all of them. And exactly. And here's the finale.
Yeah. Any Film said, it's so dumb that they can close InfoWars and not let it be sold, and Alex Jones can start the Alex Jones Show. That is what they wanted. They wanted to create an obstacle. Like, they know that they can't. Well, I mean, I don't know if they know, but I would assume that adults understand that you can't just shut someone up forever. But I think they wanted to create that obstacle of, yeah, you can still talk if you want to talk, but you're going to have to spend a lot of money, a lot of time in court, and a lot of bullshit to start a whole new company, because this one is donezo.
But like, no one cares. It's like all these people jump up and down, including some of these parents, I assume. And like, I understand they're upset their kids are murdered. I mean, I have true compassion for them, but they're blaming you for it.
And
I think, based on what they were saying with Adam Lanza, and so often with these shootings of any type, where there's no information, there's no desire to get information from the government or the politicians. It just seems like it happens, and then we move on to the next thing. And what did he just say?
I mean, I have true compassion for them, but they're blaming you for it?
Oh, yeah. And so, when there's no explanation, then any scapegoat will do. And I will absolutely, as somebody who does not have children, I want to phrase this properly. I will give credence to the unjustified blaming of someone like Alex Jones if you've just lost your child. That doesn't make it right. But I'm not going to call you a crazy person for wanting to blame somebody and not knowing who to blame, and then having a scapegoat presented to you and using that for your emotional outlet. That makes fucking sense. It's wrong and it's inaccurate, but you can't tell me it don't make sense.
And then raising money, hundreds of millions off my name, and his mother bought the gun legally, and then Remington was bankrupted by it and paid $73 million.
I forgot about that. That is, I mean, I'll tell you, I feel like that is even more wild. They're both insane. But to go after the manufacturer? Based on what? Based on what?
And his mother bought the gun legally, and then Remington was bankrupted by it and paid $73 million to them. Remember that? It just goes on and on. And after they sued me, this one foundation's increase went up while they were suing me, and during the show trials, $375 percent. Let me give you the actual numbers. 337% to 119 million just during that period. And their main fundraiser was me, not to mention all the Justice Department, 4+ million they got. But here's the
blaming you when you say the fundraiser was you. They were blaming you for a mass murder that you were horrified by and didn't commit, and ignoring the actual mass murderer, blaming everyone but the murderer for political reasons. So like they would just say you.
It's like that meme where Indiana Jones moves the idol and puts the bag of sand on there. They removed Lanza and just put me on there. And it was, he's coming. He's harassing us. He made all this money off of us. He's bullying. He's sending the stalkers.
Again, that makes a lot of sense to a parent who's just lost a child that like, oh, I just sent my kid to school one day. What's going on? Oh, is this guy? Doesn't make it right, but it's understandable. CT said, like Alex Jones represented to or the divide and conquer mentality so well. They either want, they want to enter slow to push it further into another chamber so no side can talk to one another. I think I'm with you. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this? And if this is related to the death of your child, I mean, I don't really, again, not a parent, but I kind of feel like that sticks with you. I don't know if the pain of losing a child could really, I mean, you get used to it, but I don't know if that pain goes away. So yeah, I mean, how many years? I mean, like, okay, maybe 25 years is a long time to, you know, be that actively angry. I mean, let's say again, so let's say that these people actually believe, for whatever reason, in whatever way, obviously incorrectly, but they believe that Alex Jones was the cause of their child's death. I'll throw the question back to you. How many years later would you expect, if, heaven forbid, if your child was in a situation like this, how many years later would you not want to hold the person accountable? CT said, yeah. They all do. I've gotten used to reading voice to text. More to them and more to them ending InfoWars and him starting his channel. They want to push him off the edges. I'm saying that's the divide and conquer, to divide up the company and make him. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Should not. Huh? I don't know. I say a lot of things, guys. Sometimes I forget what I said 2 seconds ago. So
attacking, he's harassing us. He made all this money off of us. He's bullying. He's sending the stalkers. He's attacking. Help! We just.
I just want to ask about later on Discord about the kids. People would say even saying it's a hoax with the deceased children being involved. Some say it's despicable, not too intricate, but some say he major fed up. Not saying he deserved. Majorly fucked up. Not saying he deserved anything. Yeah, agreed. I'm right there with you. Right there with you. I mean, I disagree with the notion that saying it could be a hoax is in and of itself despicable, because we've seen false flag attacks before. And again, as a parent who lost their child, I could understand why you would think this. But what about everybody else? What about the courts? Where was the fucking what's the word? The neutrality, the consistency, the honesty, the judicial stuffs where you're supposed to take emotions out of it. This was a civil trial, so I'm going to guess it was not a jury thing, and so that gives us our answer. On here, Kelly Green said, I think parents got millions from the gun companies easily. So maybe they're like, well, I mean, money don't necessarily make the pain go away, but it certainly helps to have everything else taken care of. We got a bunch of money off of Remington. Let's see what we can get out of Alex Jones. Very possible. CD says, as far as number of years, something like that, I would say it's infinite. I agree. But again, I am not a parent, so I cannot give a clear answer. So, no push-ups for me, baby. Let's go. I will stay weak and puny. I will stay weak and puny. Let's go. We still want to give a big shout out. Let's start out with our Rumble rants. We had 2 from Zippy over on Rumble. Thank you so much. We also had our boy and sponsor Indie Film with a $5 make you holla over there. Now we had all of you guys over here. Thank you, guys. Oh my goodness. The blessings are here. Oh, we got you already. We had Bambi and Trey. Thank you. And then our sponsor again, Indie Film. Hell yeah. And look at this. All right. Well, hey, that's $4. What did I say? $6 more. $6. And you got push-ups right now. We're ending the show. 3 of you put $2. 2 of you put, you know what I mean? 3 of you put $2. 2 of you put $3. 1 of you one would do 4. That will do it. I will give you another full minute. I will give you a full minute after we hit the minute. We're at 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 3, 2, 1. You have
Just
1
ads everywhere.
minute.
Help us find Alex Jones. Help.
$6,
And
1 minute.
I hadn't talked about him in years and years, only talked about one of their names. I never even knew who this FBI agent was. None of my crew said his name. My lawyer got up and said, Alex Jones ever said your name? No. Any of his crew ever said your name? No. You ever post your picture? Ever talk about you? No. When's the first time you heard of Alex Jones? 2016. And then he goes and does all this, but here's the finale. This is what I know when you talk to Trump and others.
I used to have a drum roll thing like. All right, Kelly Green is doing some work, guys. $2, and I'm on the floor. You got 30 seconds left.
And then he goes and does all this, but here's the finale. This is what I know when you talk to Trump and others. This is important because this needs to be looked at. This is conspiracy against rights. We're getting ready to take action on this legally. This is violation of process. This is racketeering. I mean, cut and dry in my view, and that's what my legal experts agree as well. It's cut and dry. Turns out Paul Weiss
is moving. We're down to normal
big law
speed.
firm that lost its intelligence agency clearances
5,
because they targeted Trump and they admitted
4,
to it. They came to Trump a month ago. They said, give us back
2, 1. Oh, no push-ups for me. Let's go. Puny boy. Thank you very, very much to all of you for donating. But we missed the super chat goal. We missed the number goal, and we even missed the secondary goal. So I gave you 1 minute. I gave you 1 minute. But fine. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get our jams up and ready. And fuck it. 15 push-ups. Who's paying themselves with me? It ain't just gonna be me. It ain't gonna be just me. We got this motherfucker. I'm gonna do it. Who else is doing it with me? Let's fucking go. Wait. All right. 15. No, 10. 10. Let's go. Pay yourself. Push-ups for everyone. If you got balls, if you got nuts, and if you got heart. Do your own push-ups. Let's go. Pay yourselves. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1 more. Good luck. Let's go. Let's go. Of course, you didn't think I would have forgotten, right? You had the one, you had the $4 from California. There we go, and the $2. Ellie, whoa, baby, that's what we need. Thank you so very, very much. There you go. Brontek got his 10 in. That's how we do this shit. That's how we do this shit. Hell yeah. Who else? Anybody else? If not, or if you did, let me know. I want to thank you guys for not only helping me be a better person, better body. Also, getting my message out there, because I'm not bullshitting about how serious I am about building this community. I know it's going to take a long time. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that, come in and maybe they're not built for it. That's okay. That's okay. What we have is growing in the right direction. I've told you so many times. We are so much closer to the beginning than the end. And that has not changed. I have so much more. I have so much more left. And I really, really hope that you guys want to be a part of it and that you'll come join us. Again, it is free to join. There's a reason I made a free aspect of the Discord. Because I know that not all of you, again, this is a completely free show. So if you're not donating, if you're not doing whatever, I don't know your finances. This is here for you guys to enjoy. The Discord is also there for you guys to enjoy, but it's a little bit more than that. And if you're in there, I think you know that we're doing real things. And if you want to be a part of something that actually matters, that is the place to be. That being said, of course, Morty and I will be here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it, dropping videos almost every single day. Until next time, guys, once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. See you guys in the after party. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.